the Mayo Experience.
Mayo Experience. Mayo Experience. Mayo Experience. Experience.
Welcome to the Pat Mayo Experience, presented by DraftKings. This is it. Less than 24 hours until the Open Championship actually begins at terrible times for anyone in North America. Good times if you live in PST. I think that's what it's called. Or Greenwich Mean Time. Either way, there are still spots remaining in the Pat Mayo Experience Listeners League at this moment. It is currently 93% full, so let's fill that up during the course of the show. The link is down in the description right now. Over $100,000 of rake-free, guaranteed money. Sub to the channel. That's the only way that you can ask questions during the question and answer period. If you ask your question right now at the beginning of this live show, or if you ask it after the show is done and we aren't live anymore, they're not going to get answered. I feel like that should be pretty straightforward, but this is the internet. It's full of fucking morons. Maybe you're one of those people. Who knows? Or maybe you're a winner of $2,000 because the draw is still open and it's going until next Monday. So please subscribe, rate, and review 5 stars the Pat Mayo Experience audio podcast on Apple's podcast and Spotify, and subscribe to the newsletter where you can find all that information. I mean, you do those 3 things, you have 40 ballots in the draw. Makes it pretty easy. If you retweet the show right now, it's a ballot in the draw. I'm tweeting it on Twitter in 1 minute. So you can go hit that one and get yourself some more ballots into that draw. Tambo is in studio with me, shipitnation.com.
Back. Final major of the season. Excited. I always say U.S. Open's my favorite, and then I get to this one, I say it's my favorite, and then we get to the Masters, and it's everybody's favorite. But I really do like this one. I loved last week. Ended up being a great week. Loved the Scottish Open, just the setup of it all, and now we hop right into an even stronger field here at Hoylake, so it's going to be good.
Pat Mayo Experience, currently the number 1 podcast, South Africa.
That's a good rating.
Number 2 in Azerbaijan. Number 7 in Canada. I don't know, Canadians out there. I don't like that so much. Number 5 in the United States. So if you haven't downloaded all the shows this week, please go download all the shows. That'd be really nice.
Canada, slacking. No,
I know.
Nice people here, and it's not like them.
Pulling up the rear. Even Great Britain's doing better than Canada at this point. Canadians hate Pat Mayo.
Yeah, apparently.
Sucks.
Yeah.
Sucks, my home country turning on me. Let's get to the bets for the Open Championship. Here's a tip. Don't spend as much money on betting as I did this week, and you end up just looking at this like, I can't possibly win money. Unless, like, 2 of these things hit, then I win all the money.
I need some tips to get some because it's the least amount of bets I've ever had. Was waiting for weather, but now you're going to sell me on some, so go ahead.
I'm not going to sell you on many, but just tell the people who you have 2 bets in. That's all you have.
That's it. I took the Decky 100 at 8 places. The only reason I like that one a little bit is because if there, we always talk about injury reports and make fun of them. If there was one, it feels like Decky would have about 4 designations possible. Don't want that to be the case, so I took it at 100 with 8 places just in case he shows up. A little bit more worried from a DFS perspective, but not something I worry about too much in general. And then Bobby Mack, I had the future on him at 150 at 5 places, took it before last week's result. And I had him last week at 90 with 8 places, got that each way, but pretty close to the W there.
So I basically have 4 guys that I'm betting. I made a whole bunch of stupid bets around it. So I have Scheffler at 10, Morikawa at 35, Dustin Johnson at 40, Denny McCarthy 125 to 1 with 8 places. Got to ride the form of Denny here.
The elevated event, Denny?
Elevated event, Denny. Top 10, Denny. Just come in 7th place solo, Denny, and you pay off my week for me. That'd be
Top 10-y Denny?
That'd be
like
pretty
that.
nice. I also have Kurt Kitayama at 200 with 8 places, and Jeff sold me. He found a number on Siwoo Kim at 200 to 1. I was like, well, I can't pass on that now, can I? I'm not made of stone.
No, I like that. I like that one. That's good.
So those are, you have the 3 from 10, 35, and 40, 125, 200, 200. And then I have 3 things that I call YOLO bets because I wanted to bet on them. I wouldn't recommend people do this, but if any of these guys, if they win, that would be life-changing money. They come inside the top 8. We're having a good week here. Daniel Hillier, 300 to 1 with 8 places. Thirsty Lawrence, 450 to 1 with 8 places. And Ben Griffin, who I've really come around on as the week has gone along, 750 to 1 with 8 places. I'll be sending out a newsletter later on this afternoon. I already have the write-up done on Ben Griffin to see, maybe I can try to sell you on Ben Griffin.
I was going to say, if you give me any pitch out of all of those, please just do the Ben Griffin one.
Let's see here. Let me pull this up. Ben Griffin, the driver, has been spotty since the beginning of May. That's not great news. But he's actually reeled off 7 straight events, gaining strokes on approach, including last week, his first foray into links golf in Scotland, came T25. And if there was one thing that we knew about him earlier on in the year, he's a really good putter. And it kind of went cold around the same time following the Florida swing. Now, regardless of whatever comp courses you want to use, there does seem to be a little bit of correlation between what we've seen on leaderboards at this course and what we've seen in Florida golf in general, whether you want to say Bay Hill, whether you want to say Sawgrass, whether you want to say the Honda. And it's not so much that they're on Bermuda grass or there's water everywhere. There's not, but it's kind of like dodging landmines a little bit, which you're going to have to do on this course, where if you put it into a pot bunker just off the fairway, you're fucked. You have to chip out. I mean, I read that entire Michael Kim thread just like everyone else did, which I thought was super valuable. You should really get into this business. Then you have the weird OB spots. So Griffin's not super long off the tee. He's relatively accurate off the tee. So if he can just keep himself out of trouble off the tee, the rest of his game is starting to heat up a little bit. When you look at his Florida swing, that's when he was good. That's how he qualified for the Open Championship with his T14 at Bay Hill. He's T21 at the Honda, T35 at the Players, T14 at Bay Hill. Now, obviously, those aren't winning bets based on the bet that I made, but he's $6,000 on DraftKings, which I think is a very nice price, and I, like the rest of the world, like Matthew Southgate, you like Antoine Rosner, but for $200 more, just a way to break up some of the names that I have down there. I just thought that 750 to 1 was a really big number, considering the rest of the guys who are of his level and in his range are like 300 to 1 or 400 to 1. He's double that. Yeah. So with the 8 places, that's kind of nice. I also made 3 top 40 bets, Hillier plus 250, and I played these at a place in Canada. You get the rough doggy site. I don't even know how to Bovada, where they don't have each way, or they don't have each ways. They don't have dead heat rules. Okay. So even if 8 guys tie for 40th place, it's a full payout on your 40th. So I have Hillier at plus 250, Southgate at plus 300, and Griffin at plus 350. I also played 4 first-round leaders. DJ, hot start DJ at Open Championships. That's his thing. 45 to 1, and I bet him to win. So if he gets out to a first-round lead, I'd like to cash that money right away. Xander's a boost on a place that's open 365 days a year, up to 50 to 1 to be first-round leader. I just thought that was a bigger number, and if Xander's going to do anything, probably in the first round. Southgate 160 to 1 with 5 places, and Ben Griffin 200 to 1 with 5 places. And I bet Sean Crocker at 90 to 1 with 5 places, and Max Kiefer 75 to 1 with 5 places at the Barracuda. Jeez. Because golf is happening, got to bet on it.
Yeah, and the contests weren't as good over there. So I like these. The 2 I wrote down, X at 50 to 1 with the boost. I'll see if I get the Mayo boost. I usually don't, but just in case, I like that idea because he's actually usually, to me, not a fast starter, but because I think of other tournaments where he hasn't been, like the Memorial, some of the other majors, things like that. But then he battles his way back in. But if he's going to, and that's kind of a way to get exposure to him, we'll talk when we get to the tiers. Kind of like that one, and I like the Southgate one. I forgot about him, but we always bet him on the first round leader stuff on the DP World Tour. And then usually he posts his 63 in round 2, and you're like, damn, I had him on day 1 when he posted the 70. But either way, at 160 to 1, and I'll do it with the places, I think that would be an option to get in on. So I marked those 2 down as options that I can go after.
Now, don't think that I'm not out here playing like 6-person top 40 parlays as well.
I was waiting for it to make the cut or to miss the
cut.
No,
I gave most of those out on the show. I gave out an 11-legger, a 10-legger, 9-legger, 8-legger on the Best Bet show yesterday. Maybe I'll throw them in, but it's basically just, the guys that I like this week who are available to make the cuts, like DJ, Bryson, Bobby Mack, Connors, Fox, Harrington, Denny, Ben-Ann, Reed. Those are I think that's the 8-leg one. I think that pays, let's see.
Ben-Ann, interesting you brought him up.
Yeah, I bet $50 to pay $1,200 on it.
Nice.
So, for the 8-legger one, then they just keep
and then you're
progressively
laddering it up there.
So those are my safe ones on the 8-way parlay. And then I ended up playing, let's see, is this a 5-leg? Yeah, 5-leg top 40 parlay with Ben-Ann, Denny, Griffin, Southgate, and Hillier. Pays a lot of money if it hits.
If this thing doesn't,
$10 pays like $3,500.
If this gig doesn't work out with you, I think you're okay. But if it doesn't, Vegas Mayo, you get on a Twitter account, you just start posting my safe 8 parlay to make the cut of the week. And don't worry, if you need more, I got this. And you give them the 9 and the 10 gamers. Damn, you're gonna really have a good business on your hands there, Pat.
Yeah, well, I might need to go in business after I lose all of these bets. Actually, I'm fine. So I wouldn't really worry about it too much. Gamble responsibly. I think you'll be all right, yes. Gamble responsibly, gamble within your means, and you'll be good to go. So I'll be fine sitting here. I still got $2,000 to give away. That's a big loss for me coming Monday. So hopefully I can win some money and redistribute that back to the people. We'll see here.
Goes around, comes around. You might get it that way.
Yeah, but I mean, those are just fun. It's the last major of the year. I'm going to go, as Jeff said, as Jeff kind of kindly put it, this is the last chance that he gets to lose a lot of money before week 1.
That's true. And you got Scotty, don't forget. So you have the best player in the field.
Yeah, and I like the odds on Morikawa at 35. I like the odds on Dustin at 40. I think those are good odds. I really like Fowler this week, but he just, like, if Scotty wins, like, because some people are like, well, if Scotty, I think Rob said, if Scotty wins, like, it's money back for me this week. If Scotty wins, I'm winning money this week.
Okay.
Like, it's not I don't like to make bets that are break-even bets. Like the top 40 bets, like, if Hillier comes inside the top 40, I'm not getting my money back for the week. It's just a nice add-on.
Yeah, and I also think it's, again, we joke about it. It's not joking, but gamble responsibly. You should know this, but there's ways you can learn more about it and find things out in the education space on it. But just to your point, though, like, I think some people forget, you can have a lot of those things still go right together. Like, your make the cut, it's all fun, but exaggerating here, but your make the cut parlay can hit. You can end up having Scotty, the winning ticket on him, for example, or Morikawa or DJ, whoever it ends up being. One of those top 40s can come in and pay off that group. Like, it sounds... Yeah, that would be great. Obviously, that's a nice week. I'm just saying it definitely can happen and has happened. You and I have definitely had weeks where we hit the winner and a nice each way to go with it, and those are the fun weeks. Those are the extra add-on bonus gravy on top type things, but you're not betting 20 outrights here and saying, I'm just betting everybody on the card. And in the outright space, you have outrights in other tours this week or other events, and you have other bets that can all still correlate and hit together at the same time.
Now, I'm preparing like I'm going to lose them all because that's what I do. But I want to take a look at the weather. You said you were waiting on the weather all week.
Originally, I was waiting on the weather to make more bets, and I just never got there, and the numbers didn't change to exactly what I was, hoping for or liking. So I just don't see anything that stands out enough that I was like, damn, I got to hop on that number. Obviously, I like some of the stuff you just brought up, and I would be more inclined to do that at this point. But my focus this week is on DraftKings, 2 Mega Milli tickets. So I'll be trying to win the 44-44 over there.
I'm cheering for you to win the $1 million.
I bet you are.
If you win the $1 million, can you give away the $2,000?
Correct. Yes. Give away $5,000 if that happens.
We'll work on something for football season with that then.
Yeah, maybe more. Actually, I'll be very excited if we win that one this week. So hopefully a good week there. But weather-wise, I didn't see a lot change, actually. So what are you seeing?
Nothing.
Yeah.
To tell you the truth.
That's what I see.
Like, gusts up to 20. Like, it's not like it's not going to be windy, but it's not, oh no, the balls aren't staying on the green windy. Like, it's a very acceptable amount of wind at the course this week. Like, on Thursday, average of like 12 to 13, gusts up to 17 is what I'm seeing at Windfinder on Hoy Lake right now. On Friday, gusts maybe up to 20 in the afternoon. There's gusts up to 16 in the morning. Pretty constant, like 12 to 15 all day. Like that, I don't feel like that's all that detrimental at a course where, like we see with all of these Open Championship courses, like we can talk about, oh, it's hard in this way, or you need to do that. But if it's not playing as firm and fast as really, it doesn't look like it's going. It looks like it's not quite to the sogginess level of 2014, but it's closer to that than what we saw firm and fast in 2006. And there doesn't seem to be any rain from now up until Saturday. And Saturday looks like a super soggy day. Which sucks because I didn't bet on Rory, and anytime that like scoring is going to be low and there's kind of wet conditions, that's Rory golf.
Yeah. What do you see the score at right now then? Because I was thinking more, 15 under, 16 under, to be honest. Just from what I've seen, it's a little bit greener than expected than what we've seen in the past. Most people that live there say it's rained.
I've been to golf courses where they like spray paint that stuff to make it look a little bit green.
I don't know about that. But I guess that's why I ask, only because, like, again, you have that. You mentioned it gets that way on Saturday. Like, if anything, the way this looked like, Pat, to me, is it was setting up where it was going to be a little bit soggier. Like you said, it's a little bit greener than what we've been seeing in the past. And then on Saturday, I was like, okay, maybe on the weekend we get this. But now that's when it looks like more rain comes in, or at least a little bit of rain comes in. So what are your thoughts on the score here? Because I think that is another thought people are having.
I would say minus 14.
Okay. Yeah, fair. That's similar range. And then the other thing, anything to take from this, I guess a lot of people were bringing this point up over the last day or two, since we don't have a bunch to talk about with the weather here before we get to one and done, is the AM PM wave always does well at the Opens, especially here. And you've seen that. To me, the takeaway was really that, you could look at it from the angle of maybe guys played in the bad wave during those years. Like, for example, Adam Scott still did really well back in 2014 when Rory won, but he played in the bad wave, and he's done well at Opens in general and all that. Again, minor, I'm not really taking that in as a major thing. I'm just saying I don't see why you would just stack AM, PM for no reason. I'm all about stacking if you want to, but I just don't see it as anything else. Did you take anything away from that?
I don't see nothing is leaping off the page to me to say, hey, there's a distinct advantage in this wave. Like, the worst weather looks like it comes on Saturday. It looks like it's going to rain all day. I don't think it's enough rain to stop play, and it's also the windiest day with gusts up to 30. Yeah, Saturday could be an absolute, like, where the best score is like +2 or something like that on the day.
Yeah, and
Like,
people asking about it where they're like, oh, well, we should try and find the guys that won't have to play in the bad conditions on Saturday.
I want the guys that barely make the cut, so they're in the better
Let's get to the
conditions.
6 of 6 first before we try and figure out where the hell they are on the map. Like this is, as far as their scores go. I'm not trying to angle for that deep of a number. Like you can't really find that. But the other thing I guess I was most disappointed in, Pat, is that we couldn't find an edge advantage to play that pinpointed window like we talked about last time. Remember we said like where you get that Stenson fill window where they just go off?
Yeah.
Like a Troon. We don't have anything like that here, but you talked about it before how, some people angle towards that, and that's something you could try and look at. I just don't see it.
And I do think it's worth noting that of any tournament all year long, the weather that we're seeing on Friday right now might not be the weather on Friday when we get to Friday.
That's right.
Like, just keep that in mind, that weather can turn like that at one of these courses when you're so close to the ocean that, maybe the prevailing wind flops and all of a sudden you got like a 60-mile-per-hour winds coming in the entire, and that would be, I guess, the one case of stacking to shield yourself potentially to luck box into weather coming in and one wave getting wiped out or something like that. I don't see it.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean it can't happen.
Good segue. Round 2, showdown shows on the Mayo Media Network. We'll have that covered for you. Myself and Hoop, we'll go through it all, and we'll be able to talk about that if there is a weather advantage for round 2. I had some good success with that last week as well, so we'll definitely tune back into that. But I got nothing else when it comes to weather.
You qualified for the
King of the Desert.
King.
Yeah. After failing at the Fantasy Golf World Championship, I'm getting into that one.
But you're going to be at the Fantasy Golf World Championship.
Correct. Yes.
You're going because you're a celebrity. You're going to be signing autographs for people. You're like when Tony Hawk goes and to the X Games now. He's not competing anymore. But people know Tony Hawk.
I'll try my best, man. I'm just excited to be there. It's always good to get out to a DraftKings event. We don't get too many added perks or benefits here in Canada because there's not a lot of, you can't just go to this MMA event and get seats up in the box, or you can't just go to this. So sometimes take a pull on the VIP and get a little added bonus where you get to go to some of these events. Definitely excited for that one.
Yeah, I remember they ran the Fantasy Baseball World Championship in Toronto and the Fantasy Hockey one. I remember just going to a Jays game when it was there. But the rest of the time, VIP services for both FD and DraftKings in Toronto doesn't exist. I was like, I need these Raptors tickets. They're like, yeah, we don't have any contacts there. Sorry. It's like, fuck. You serious?
They got you. I think you hosted it, didn't you?
I did, yeah. No,
Yeah.
I hosted the one in New York.
That's
Fantasy
what it was.
Baseball World
that one.
Championship.
So, yeah,
that was actually a lot of fun. I'd love to do that again.
Yeah, sign them up.
One and done for us this week. We're in 1633. It's now my third best team of my 4.
What's your best?
12-23.
Okay.
Who did I have last week in that stupid one? Let's see here. I picked Patrick Cantlay. Yeah, he was good. Cut. Thanks for nothing, Cantlay. So who are we going to go with? I'll give you the options to run through. You know who we do have left? Dustin Johnson and Brooks Koepka. Those are by far, and Tommy Fleetwood. We might not even have Dustin Johnson.
If we don't, we have our answer.
Brooks?
Yeah, because we've discussed this already.
Yeah.
We saved Brooks. And so I don't know how we go away from it now.
Yeah, we have him left. He's the only good player that we have
and
left.
Is he down to 50%?
He is owned in, let's see here, in the giant race for the Mayo. I have Rory in this one. Take Rory. Let's
Take
go.
Rory for that, yeah.
Apparently I've used Brooks in this one. Brooks is only available in 51% of leagues.
And yeah, he'll get used this week. But again, there's also Cam Smith. There's, some people hedge that way, even though I know nobody likes him for DraftKings, but that's fine. But I don't know. I think we just have to stick with our plan here based on what we saved him for. And obviously he sets up well for any major. I think we can go there. What were Fleetwood was the other option?
Yeah. Or Sung Jae.
What's Fleetwood owned?
33% left.
Yeah.
Sung Jae's 30% left.
It sucks to leave Brooks on the table, but where we're at in 1600, it does kind of feel like there's a discussion around abandoning ship on that and going to a low-owned guy.
Yeah, he's going to be low-owned anyway.
You think?
I think a lot of people will simply use, if they have Rory left, I have Rory left in 2 of my...
Oh, yeah. What's your Rory percentage?
My Rory percentage is...
Not yours, the tournament. The tournament
of the tournament, 18%. I get to, out of the 4 lineups, I can use them in 2 of them.
So those are getting used up for sure.
Yeah, as they should be.
Yeah, that's a spot. You're not saving them for much else, I don't think. So, yeah, I don't know. I guess stick with Brooks. I'm fine with it. Need a big score. If he comes out and gets the job done, we level up some there.
If he wins the tournament, we're back in the money.
That's what I mean. And then you still have a chance. It's bigger payouts and stuff down the stretch where you could find your way up a little bit. We're not going to win, I don't think, but just something like, here where we take what we can get and go with it. We saved him for this reason.
It'll be good, too, because Cust used Brooks as his one and done. And if he gets another winner here in his one and done, like the one and done is over in our 3-man.
That's good. Yeah, that's true. But I do think that, there would be a conversation to be had around just fading him because of that. But at the same time, we don't have a lot of choices.
Agreed.
Like, I don't want to swap Brooks for Sungjae just because I might like Sungjae in DraftKings, but I don't want to swap him here for that.
Yeah, I think that the skill gap, I mean, it's a different game.
Exactly. It's definitely a different game. Yeah,
at.
exactly. So that's where I was saying that. But I don't, Fleetwood would be the other one to consider. Someone was saying this too, like about, Fleetwood is home open. But like all these opens seem like it's home. Didn't we literally play at Fleetwood's actual home course though?
Wasn't Carnoustie his
and he
home
just
course? And he
flopped
missed a cut.
completely. Yeah.
That happened.
So it's just funny.
He used to walk the course with his dad. I remember the entire week of content.
Yes, that's what I was going to say. It's just funny. It's like the Keegan in the Northeast. It's the Cam Young, New York, whatever.
Which has been working, by the way.
Yeah. Keegan one.
If that all works out, like there's zero chance. I mean, if Robert McIntyre had won last week, you would have Canadian Nick Taylor, Keegan wins in the Northeast, U.S. Wyndham Clark, he's a U.S. guy, wins. Bobby Mack would have won in Scotland. Matthew Jordan would have had to win this week, being a member at Royal Liverpool.
Should we bet him first round leader instead of Matthew Southgate or Adam?
I mean, I can add him.
Yeah, you can just add another guy.
I feel like I probably looked at him because I looked at some of the other guys that like I had played the top 40 odds, be it Ann or Hillier or whatever, that a lot of their odds had just kind of been beaten down. Like I was going to bet Kitayama. He was like 90-1 to be first round leader. It's like,
Matthew Jordan's hitting the first shot.
He's 110-1 to be first round leader.
I like the other Matthew better, Southgate.
Yeah, at 160-1 because he's a better player.
Yes.
Yeah, it would make a lot of sense.
What was the other thing? So then, is this the Northeast technically?
No, it's not. We discussed this yesterday.
Right.
It is in the Midwest of.
Could we say it's the Northeast to us?
Of us?
Yes.
I mean, you could say that about a lot of places.
Yeah. So maybe we should play.
It's
Keegan.
not even of the Northeast of us. I think it's southeast of us.
Yeah, I'd have to get the globe out and figure it out, but it's somewhere east.
It is east of us currently, yes.
So,
I mean, technically anything is east depending on what direction.
Trying to give Paul a reason to play Keegan this week.
Yeah, we tried. Yes, Paul.
I play Keegan every week.
But
I have played him overseas in this exact scenario before and tried to use the excuse of like, oh, what is the Atlantic Ocean but an extension of the Northeast? And it went down in flames. Okay. But I like the fact that nobody's playing him this week. It sets up in theory well for him. And the only reason people aren't playing him is because he sucks over in the UK.
But he's a winner this year, so I don't hate it. All right, I don't have much else, man. I'm good with that one and done pick. I think solid there. Probably going to talk about this pricing.
Yeah, I guess that's what we'll go to. Oh, Paul, are you running a poll in the chat?
Yeah, I asked people if they were a moron because you were saying like don't ask questions.
Yeah.
And so far results say 39% of people out of 121 votes say yes, they are a moron, and 37. It's a pretty close race between yes and maybe. No at 24%.
I mean, that tracks. I read some of these chats. I do appreciate the questions and the engagement. Like chat among yourselves. I'll put it in right here. Let's see. Would you guys consider using JT in one and done at all, since he's probably not going to be available for the playoffs?
Wow.
I was like, there's probably a reason. I understand that. I mean, I don't have JT left to use.
Good angle there, though. Sharp angle.
It is, but like, do you want to use the fact that he can't qualify for the playoffs?
We do this every year with the, I know it's going to 70 this year. Remember the 125 thing? But this guy's got motivation. He's right there. Do you know why he's right there?
Yeah, because he's not any good.
He hasn't been good enough. He hasn't come through in the pressure situations. But now you want him to come in through in the most of all pressure situations. And it actually was a thing where it wasn't working for quite a while. People just continue to play that narrative, and it wasn't a thing. So, JT would be fine, I guess. But to Pat's point, I don't, that the only angle would be the angle you're saying is that you don't think he's going to be in the playoffs. So roll him out now and take a shot.
Let's get to DraftKings. Reminder to play in the DraftKings Listeners League. Link is down in the description right now. Smash the like while you're here already. There's a bunch of people watching, only 72 likes. You can't do better than that? No one wants $2,000? Didn't realize everyone was so rich.
200 likes to get $2,000. Final straw. Pull the rug right out from under.
Just pull it back? I can't do that.
If you can't get 200 likes, how can Pat give away $2,000?
I know. That doesn't even seem right at this point.
Takes 2 seconds. It's free. And as I always say, hit the like or take a hike. It's easy.
Oh, I like that one.
Yeah.
I like that one a lot.
Can't do it. I mean, it literally takes 2 seconds and it's free.
Paul.
I will say the like to no ratio in the poll kind of add up. So, like, the people who are saying, yes, they are a moron, or maybe they are a moron, are probably the people not hitting the like button.
That's probably true. I had not considered that.
Clear explanation. It's a thumbs up button under the right-hand side of the video. You go and you click on it, and it works.
Maybe people are literally afraid of smashing their screen by smashing the like button. Maybe they try to use it with a hammer.
Well,
Because, I mean, they said that they're morons.
The morons might already have the smash screen because the mistake's already been made, so that's maybe why they're having trouble.
Yeah, they smashed the like once, and that was the end of it for them.
That's it. That's all.
New pricing on DraftKings. We get down to the $5,000 level, and we get up to $12,500. I did think it was funny that at DraftKings Sportsbook, Rory was opened as the favorite versus Scotty, yet and Rory was still the favorite when pricing dropped, yet Scotty was $600 more on DraftKings.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I guess they're just going to go off more stats than they are the books. They're trying to flip it up a little bit because we've always seen it in the past where they match pretty much identical. Now we're not seeing that to be the case.
I've had conversations with people who work internally at like 3 separate sports books right now. I don't want to say that they're fucked if Scheffler wins, but they're taking a hit if Scheffler wins this week. That is their big liability.
Well, luckily his putter's been a liability, so they might be all right. We'll have to
They
wait
might
and
be
see.
all right. But I mean, that's always the funny part about Scotty is that he can't putt and he still comes in third.
Yeah, oh yeah. And
So
then this
we're just
week,
waiting.
technically, I mean, this week should be easier to putt, like these greens.
Yeah, slow flat greens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hopefully he can figure it out and get it right for that case. But I mean, that also becomes the conversation when people talking about playing him on DraftKings at $12,500 and how some say it's impossible, others say it's the easiest thing ever.
It's funny that you mentioned both those polls. Who is saying it's impossible to play him? It is the easiest thing in the world to play him. Even if there wasn't a $5,000 range, it'd be super fucking easy to play him.
I've heard it all. I've heard that it's really hard. I've seen the word impossible. I've seen it's pretty much impossible. I've also seen people say, well, he probably wins and then still isn't needed on DraftKings now with the price bump and everything. I think completely opposite on that one. But yeah, just a lot of factors to talk about here when you add it. But to my point, my biggest point would be he would have been 11-8 and Rory's 11-9. It's you have to find $700. There is a lot of places to find $700, and I'll start with my main point. I told you pre-show, but I've heard almost nobody talk about this week. Maybe I haven't heard anybody actually, but the one thing I don't hear talked about at all, Pat, is the $7,000 range. I've talked about it plenty of weeks on this very show. The $7,000 to $7,400 range, these past X amount of weeks, has been 30 guys. Just from 7K to 7,400. We've been saying if you want to get different from the bubble in the upper 7K range, there's so many guys to choose from. This week, go check it, there's 30 guys in the entire 7K range. Windhorse, why is this? Why is that? What's going on? Well, here's what's happened. All the guys that would usually be 7K to 7,300 or 7,400
Or 65.
are 65 to 6,900. So there is guys to play, and it's not just Bobby McIntyre. For those of you out there clicking 15, 16% Rob McIntyre, he's priced that way, and it's unfortunate the pricing comes out earlier than the result, and he's got top 40 odds. He's come top 34 or better in all 3 of his opens. He's been incredible. I get it, but I'm just saying there's lots of guys in the 65 to 7K range alone where you're not really going outside of their original price stratosphere, and you do have the $700 to find Scotty because it's simply Adrian Meronk or Emiliano Grillo or something like that, or JT Poston. Is there really that big a difference? No, because last week they were almost the same, and Poston beat Meronk, for example, and now they're flipped in price. Bjork came through as chalk last week, now dropped in price. There's so many guys in this range.
We all lined up to play Bjork at $7,300 last week, and now was he 68 and no one wants to play him?
Yeah, and the field added a bunch of live guys that people told me all year are horrible and suck. So it's like, what? The field didn't get that much star. Rom joined the pack and some live guys, but I'm exaggerating, obviously, and live guys have showed up
and
at these majors.
And more guys make the cut this week, too. Top 70.
Yeah. All I'm saying, going back to it, there's definitely ways to get to Scotty here if you want him. And the argument that, so the big thing was back in the day, I guess it was during Brooks's original run, when he was, I think, priced at 11.5 at the U.S. Open, the year Gary Woodland won. Shout out the Gary Woodland ticket holders, myself included. Great year. But that spot was where I believe if Koepka had have won, just the way it all played out and was so jumbled at the top and all the scoring, it wasn't like he had went off enough to pay off the price tag. So even if Koepka had a won, there was lineups up there that weren't requiring Koepka in them the way everything else shook out. But it sounds like you can make the point. Go ahead.
No, I had a question for you.
Okay.
Just to add to that before you move on is when you talk about there were lineups up there that would have won without Brooks in them, are you talking about in the Millie Maker or smaller field tournaments?
I'm talking about in the $25 Millie Maker, the $100 Millie Maker that year for sure. But the $25 was set up like that because of a couple of reasons, and I'll say quickly, but just the thing at the US Open is you have qualifiers, amateurs, the bottom of the board, you can write off like 40 names just like that. And I know you could technically do that here too by throwing some of these guys away, but now you have price imbalance. Now we have these extra pieces brought in. And again, people are confusing the price imbalance with, but the 5K guys are junk. You don't need them. Yeah, maybe pick one or two, and we'll name some after. But the miscommunication, Pat, is that the 40 to 50 guys I'm writing off at that U.S. Open are the stone minimum was 6. So I'm writing all those guys off in that range where you and I just talked about. What people are not looking at is the 7K range has got pushed down. So your 6K range is not amateurs and qualifiers. It's guys that literally won on tour a month and a half ago.
Yes,
that's this is the difference.
Thing.
So it's not the same, and you're definitely dead if Scotty wins and Bobby Mack comes through, because then it's over. Bobby Mack 15 to 20% range, some even higher in these higher dollar, smaller field stuff. You're done. There's no way there's going to be a Scotty lineup without it because there's just so many combinations and permutations in between that where you're going to find him be in the mix.
Yeah, so just to kind of add on to your point about the low $6,000 level, why it's much easier this week, like you said, at the U.S. Open and even at the PGA Championship, like once you get below, like you can make a theoretical case for some players at $6,400. Like they're not the stone worst players in the field. You could see playing, I don't know, Trey Mullenix or something like that. That would be like his normal price if he was in a major at a U.S. Open or a PGA Championship. We've seen him come through before in some of these lineups. But the guys who are the stonemen at the PGA Championship, it was fucking Michael Block and Michael Block's 19 other friends. And you had to pick Michael Block out of a hat to try to just get those savings. I don't even know if he was needed in those lineups. This time around, for that same price point, Thirsty Lawrence is down there. And you might think that that's a joke. I mean, I did bet on the guy to win. He's won 3 times in Europe. We're on the DP World Tour the past 12 months. He's a good player. Daniel Hillier is absolutely crushing it right now at $6,100. Matthew Southgate. The reason that people like Matthew Southgate this week, he's fucking $5,600.
Yeah.
That's not like that's big savings.
Yeah, I agree. And again, but even the whole 6K range is just littered. Taylor Moore, JT Poston, Putnam, Michael Kim, Padraig Harrington, Grillo, Olesen, Willett, Bjork, Stenson, Jordan Smith, McIntyre, Langask. These guys have come through. Louis, people are playing 6. Again, all these guys are real dudes. We're not talking about someone who just randomly qualified that you've never heard of, on top of the cases that you can make for the Victor Perez's, the Yannick Pauls. I'm not saying I'm making them. I'm saying these are real golfers that they're just getting almost no ownership because just nobody can get, it's going to be spread out down here no matter what. My point being, the range is loaded with potential. The argument is, what if it's all the balance builds that come up? That's DFS in a nutshell. Like, no shit. It could be a spot where the top 6 guys that finish this way after Scheffler are all 8K guys, and therefore it makes it work out that way. Could it happen? Yes. I'm saying reasons why it's not as likely to be something that would happen as some are asking about or what it could be made out to be. So a friend had brought this up in the Discord over at Ship It Nation. I thought it was a good thing to bring up. I brought the thoughts on here so everybody could hear them. I think it is something to think about, but I just don't think it applies to this tournament.
So I built 150 lineups in the 50 cent and then pick and choose my ones for the 3 max, higher stakes, that kind of thing. And I can tell you my exposures right now. I've already entered the lineups because I didn't want to miss out because it was about to fill. So I was like, fuck it, I'm throwing in 150. I can make more. So I'm not too concerned about that. Who do you think my highest owned player is this week?
Morikawa?
Yeah, Morikawa is second at 42%. Denny McCarthy, 43%.
All in on the value.
Didn't expect it to work out that way. It's Denny, Morikawa, Dustin, Scheffler, Ricky, Reed, Connors.
Man, do you know you can global swap all that Denny to Siwoo?
I see Woo. I have it 28%.
Okay, so you already got him up there too.
I'm playing them both.
Need both.
Playing them both.
What's our common conversation on here? Is it this guy or is it that guy? The answer is play both. There you go. You got it.
And for reference, I have 20% Rory. So I'm just trying to match up.
I was just going to ask that if you can quickly. I don't know if you can flip it on there easily, but can you see of your because there's 7 guys 10K and up this week. What's your kind of exposure at the top?
I have no Cameron Smith.
Okay.
0.
Sounds right.
I have 35% Scotty.
20% Rory, you said?
20% Rory, 21% Brooks, and 10% Rahm. And I think that 10% Rahm might match the field.
I think he's going to get a little late steam.
Maybe, but I'm not going to be way off.
No, that's fine. What about, so you're leaving out Hovland and Xander, right?
No Hovland, no Xander, no Cantlay.
Cantley's 99, but okay.
But did like those guys, and then I'm playing Fowler, Spieth, and Morikawa, but I'm under on Spieth. I have like 14% Spieth.
See, I don't have Spieth getting much ownership.
fine. Then the 14% sounds great.
You'll be good. The only reason I don't is because I think, what do you think Cantlay gets to? I know nobody ever thinks he gets any ownership, but he always does. I actually boost him.
It's tough in terms of, like, I actually didn't look much at ownership when I made my lineups. I just kind of made a stance of, hey, I bet on Scheffler. I have the most confidence in Scheffler to do well this week of all of the top guys. But if we came down the stretch and it was Rory v. Rahm, I wouldn't be super fucking stunned.
Yeah, another quick tidbit just throwing on that strategy-wise, you just mentioned it. If any spot for me to think of it like you just said it would be this spot because of twofold. One, it's pretty balanced as is, but then the aforementioned pricing structure we just talked about where there's legit dudes in all these ranges, it actually does spread out even more. So it's kind of just play the guys you actually think are going to be there. Now you have to make a bigger decision when there's some of these, heavy spots like the Bobby McIntyre spot.
I played Bobby Mack in full disclosure. I played him in I don't want to say cash lineups, but more single entry 3-max type lineups. Mm-hmm. And I left him out of my 150 build.
Yeah. And that's standard strategy talk we've had a bunch of times on here where I think people just go automatically. Like Brandon Grace at 1/9 of the ownership, you should just play Brandon Grace. Yes, if I'm betting or it's a matchup bet or something like that, but in some case, like who do you actually like more here? I would like Bobby Mack more
like Bobby Mack
based
too.
on everything else. So if you want to just play the value and take him, he's minus 115 to top 40. He's down in some places to like 65 or 70 to 1 to win. Again, he just came off last week. How is that true? But he was second last week. He played awesome. So the point is, I see it, but I also think you can start with him, and there's plenty of ways to get different up top as well.
For sure. And I know that because I'm bad at this, and I really like a lot of these random Euro names near the bottom. I just played a bunch of those fucking guys.
Yeah.
And therefore, no one's going to have the same, unless you just played 100% Southgate. What do you think that Southgate gets to? Over under 4%?
Under.
Under?
Yeah.
But how much do you think he'll be correlated with Scheffler?
A lot. That's one note to take away as well. Like that's the Bobby Mack thing. That's the Southgate thing. That's the Stenson thing. Louis probably falls into this category. Like, again, they combo up more with a Scotty Scheffler or a Rory than anybody else. That's the difference, too. Like, we'll mess around when we make some lineups. Is what if you go with, like, a Southgate and leave out Rory and Scotty and do, like, a Rahm with other guys?
I've done that, and most of the ways that I've done that, because people talked about the balance build, I built a few of those that's like Fowler, Morikawa, Dustin, Bryson with one of the low guys, and like Corey Connors or Denny or something like that.
Yeah, I don't mind that at all because, like I said, if people are going to the lower guys, it's mostly, especially on hand builds, the immediate thing is like, okay, who's the low guy? Like, people do this bottom-up build, Southgate. Oh, now I got all the money in the world. Scheffler.
Yeah.
Like, done. Like, that's
now all my money's gone.
It's literally how it starts. But no, there's tons of guys that can find at that point. But you're right. They're down into a different range. But that is how I think people would build that are hand building. I also think the optimizer is going to look at some builds like that. But I will say the optimizer will take into consideration things like misprices where the projection doesn't match the price, so to speak. And like Cantlay, for example, projects really well and is only 9,900. So it might still like a Cantlay, Hatton, Fleetwood
Mack
type lineup with Bobby Mack and that's what I'm saying, where you can fit it all in. So that's another angle to take away from it.
So overall ownership, is anyone crack 20%?
I think Rory still does.
You do?
Yeah.
Okay.
11.9 is still fair enough. I think when people see the price on Scheffler and just, again, even going to that hand build, an example, like, well, shit, that doesn't quite work out for me. What if I just go down to Rory and hope that it's another good Rory week?
Well, I remember you said before the show, like, in another way to think about it, it's the difference between like Bryson down to Rose.
Yeah, there's lots of examples like Bryson to Rose.
Rose to Ben An, and then you even have money left over.
Any of like the Burns, Homa, Sungjae, Tony Finau's can all drop down to that mid-sevens range with the Connors, the Thegalas, the Ryan Foxes, the Russell Henleys. All that is just a way to look at it where those would be your 2v2s. Like you have a Rory Henley, it can just as easily be you take Rory up, or sorry, a Rory Finau, you go up to a Scotty Henley. That's a 2v2. If you like Scotty better than Rory, who cares about the other two? Henley and Finau? Obviously, Finau I'd rather, but it's at the same time, again, one's going to come with more ownership too. So keep that in mind also. I just think, to me, they're not that different on paper.
So I would look at it as Rory, the highest owned of the expensive guys, then Scotty, probably pretty close to him, but a little bit less. Then Brooks and Rahm, significantly less than those two, and then Cameron Smith after that. The
one I can't figure out is Hovland. I think people still like Hovland.
I think people like him too, but he's now in that range. Like I am seeing Xander at 9%. That can't be real.
I had
people love playing. Like you can start line. Like I just talked to you about like that sort of like balance thing.
Mm-hmm.
People could start to line up Xander, Hovland, Cantlay if they wanted to.
Yeah, that's what I've been toying around with. I think Xander definitely still gets a little late love that's maybe gets him to like 11 or 12. Just because, again, I don't care the 9 versus 12. I'm just saying why I think he gets there. And then what ends up happening is maybe even though there's a lot of love and people talking about Hovland, you could still see him getting squeezed some because I truly believe and always believe that Cantlay gets the love no matter what, especially with a Best Buy price tag of just $9,900, not quite $10K. And then you also have the Xander love, and people are playing Brooks at least some. So I've got it like Rory, Scotty. Then I've got, I guess, Rahm, Brooks, and Hovland, and which I would have Cantlay above those three. And then I have Xander and then Cam Smith. That's how I have it shaking out. And I'll adjust this all throughout the day and get it up over at shipitnation.com. But I do think that's something to keep an eye on is that how that the squeezes work, if you will, in that example you gave with Xander and Hovland.
Spieth is getting squeezed, being in between a popular Morikawa and a popular Ricky.
Yep.
Fitzpatrick is getting squeezed because he's in between a popular Morikawa and a popular Tyrrell Hatton.
And Fleetwood secondary to those guys.
And Dustin down there as well, who I think the people are going to play.
Yeah, I still think people play Lowry as much or more than Dustin.
I can tell you, people on fantasynational.com, if you want to get access to the Fantasy National internal projections, you can go to fantasynational.com/Mayo and get yourself the 20% off. Fantasy National members like Dustin Johnson more than Shane Lowry. Mm-hmm. So just keep that in mind. Then you have Cam Young, Hideki, and Bryson. I don't want to say no one's playing them, but they're lower owned.
Yeah, sub 8-9%, something like that range, maybe even 6 to 7% range.
Basically the entire 8K range, because like maybe Wyndham Clark gets to double digits, maybe, but no one's playing Thomas, no one's playing Sam Burns, few people are playing Max Homa, no one's playing Sung Jae. Finau will get a bit of love, Tom Kim will get a bit of love, Justin Rose will get a bit of love, but nothing crazy.
Yeah, I've got it Finau, Rose, Kim, those three.
And the only three players that I'm playing from the 8K range are Bryson, Finau, and Tom Kim.
Okay, yeah, I see Wyndham is getting a little love here still too.
I can see that.
Because I think the Michael Kim thread, right, talked about...
Do you think Michael Kim is like put out that thread so we can like play the opposite on DraftKings? He's like, yeah, here are all the guys you should play, suckers.
The best thing is he's talking to it like he's definitely subtly hitting on the betting markets.
Michael Kim is watching this show in England right now.
Yeah, he has
Guarantee
to be,
you.
because he's talking about wave stacking and everything. It's like, man, he's got all the lingo. He's coming out trying to figure it out. But it was a good use of Twitter Blue. Someone pointed that out.
Yeah,
I like I usually don't like the long form tweets. I'd rather a thread and break it down. But I know that Twitter's algorithm leans a little bit more now towards long form. And
is that true?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, thank God.
Why do you think? Because if the only way to do long form is to buy Twitter Blue.
Oh, easy. Good. Yeah, very intuitive stuff right there.
Yeah.
I have a Michael Kim signed hat at home. Maybe I can use that as a giveaway. We have Michael Kim on the show. Verify that it's actually his signature.
Man, let's do it. I didn't like Michael Kim as much until he started tweeting.
There you go. So it usually works the opposite way for people.
Well, he never came through for anybody at any time. The time he does come through, he just sun runs completely and wins the John Deere when nobody's on him at wins by 6 or 7 strokes. Maybe it was more. I can't remember so many strokes he gained putting, I'm thinking of, that he just crushed that. And now, wasn't on him for a while, and now he's putting out great tweets, so I don't mind it.
Ownerships in the 7s. Connors will probably be the highest owned of all the 7K guys. And then Herman, Denny, Siwoo. And they're not like showing a lot of ownership down here.
I'll know more about that this afternoon. We'll be able to find out some of the guys that are getting steamed a little bit.
That's kind of it. Then you have Robert McIntyre in the 6s. Like we have him. Users on Fantasy National are generating him out in lineups at 11%. I feel like he might be close to 20% because there's always like when we take a look. Remember what was it? What was Ricky's ownership at the U.S. Open? And it was like 10 points higher than anyone thought it was going to be.
I forget now, but it definitely got up there.
It happens at major championships where you would be kind of crazy to look at the pricing, not see Robert McIntyre at $6,800 and be like, that's a good play.
Yeah, and he just makes everything work.
Yeah.
Any type of build, he fits. So yeah, I have him higher, but I'm going to lower it some. I'm going to probably put him in that 15 to 17 range. And then in higher stakes, smaller field stuff, over 20.
And then maybe... I don't think that Jordan Smith ends up getting a ton of ownership.
No.
I'm playing him, and people I know are playing him. Most people don't have a fucking clue who that is. Jordan L. Smith, he sounds terrible, and he kind of is. But
what about the one I mentioned earlier, though, Brandon Grace? Not ownership talk. I know we're getting
just
to
in
that,
general.
Squeezed in between those two.
I mean, I think he's just too expensive.
Too expensive?
Yeah.
6,800?
Yeah, for a washed-up Brennan Grace.
Is he washed up?
Pretty sure he's washed up.
I don't know.
He isn't even playing well on Live. If you're not playing well on Live, you got some problems.
Yeah. All right.
Like, it can be one thing where Finau's not even playing poorly. Finau's playing, like, average to mediocre. He's still making cuts every week. The ball striking's still really good. And that's in, like, elevated events and majors. What the hell is Brennan?
Yeah, on the PGA.
On the PGA Tour. Brennan Grace can't finish inside the top 20 in Live when there's 23 guys on the tour.
So we just play Stenson.
Yeah. Stenson's playing better, and I think when it gets down to it, and it depends on how you want to look at this course. Like, if people want to do what Rory did in 2014, which I just think is exceptionally difficult to do because very few players hit the ball as long and as straight as Rory does.
Right.
I think that Bryson is actually sort of in that camp of guys that can do it because I think that he can gain a lot of accuracy and placement just by clubbing down. He's still as long as everyone else, which I think is a big advantage for Bryson this
Somebody
week.
showed on Twitter, too, not to cut you out, but it's just to that exact point that he has been clubbing down. He's like 4th or 5th on the driving distance overall average on Live, again, smaller sample size of the limited events they play and all that. But clearly,
And do we know if those stats are real?
Who knows?
That's like
That might be
one
the-
guy like writing them down.
No. That might be the only one they can actually get right, though, because it's probably the easiest one to get a hold of. But in general, if he's doing that here, that would be the one angle in, is that when he needs to pop it over these pop bunkers, no problem. But when he needs to
Lay it up,
and there's internal OB on the right or something that he doesn't want to compete with or contend with, there is that potential that he can just club it down and find what he needs to find.
And I do think as well that when we try to glean some insight into Bryson, I think he always comes in with a strategy. I don't think his strategy is always right. But if he recognizes that, hey, yeah, maybe I can hit it 375 on some of these holes with the wind at my back, or I can just hit it 300 down the middle every time and still be as long as some of the longest players in the field. Why wouldn't I just do that? I think he would choose that option.
And that's what I was going to ask you a little bit, just because he's been on my mind just from this perspective, is like, this is still a thinking man's course. You have to go out. It's very clearly that. That's what, links golf in general, let alone this course setup and everything. Like you said, there's different strategies you can take. But is it an overthinking man's course? And the reason I say that is because we've seen, remember the time, the mad back in the day, mad scientist, he's going to play like Kapaloo or something, elevation. He's going to have all that shit figured out. This is
But
what
he
he does.
overthought it all.
Overthought it all, big mistakes. Versus here, it's kind of just, to me, the thought is like, again, there's more to it. I get it. And I'm not a professional golfer, but say off the tee is a decision. That seems like a pretty simple decision, though, to figure out. He's either choosing to lay it up in the sense of lay back, I'm saying, versus going for hitting it over, or I've got the room to play with, I'm going to pound it out there. It's flatter greens. It's a lot of runoffs. It's not, there's not a lot of extra decision making, even though overall there's a ton of it. But is it one that someone like him would overthink? Or is it one that he can just easily make those decisions and then find his way around enough? Because he has been playing a little bit better golf, especially since going back down to skinny Bryson.
I mean, top 10s in 2 of the past 4 majors, top 20s in 3 of the past 4 majors. Like, it's the Masters that eats his lunch every single time. Everywhere else, he's great.
Yeah, flatter, easier greens,
Yeah.
too. Like, just at 8,800, we could be looking back at that and say, man.
That's the reason that I'm playing him. I was thinking about betting him, but I've already bet too many people already, so I can't get Bryson in there. But I like Bryson a lot this week. Just
Good to talk through, yeah.
I just think that he has a lot of outs where, like, I like Denny McCarthy and everything, but he has one out off the tee. He's hitting driver every single time, and he better hit the fucking fairway or he's fucked.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's the
but
thing,
he
too.
has been doing that. But I think that when you're looking at strong drivers of the ball, that's where you want to go. Like, I worry that Kitayama, I just feel like he's so hit or miss. Either he plays well or he plays terribly.
Yeah.
I like him in my 150 GPP build. I like him at 200 to 1. But, he's more likely to miss the cut by 11 strokes than he is to win. But I do feel like if he is playing well, this is the perfect type of track for him. It's just he doesn't play well all that often. Whereas someone like Ben Ann constantly drives the ball well, that I don't really worry about him off the tee. I think that when you have someone who sucks as much at putting as Ben Ann, it's really difficult to ever call them safe. But his tee to green game is so good. He's sort of like 30% Scotty.
Yeah, and it's priced in, too, $7K, for
Yeah.
example, for a guy like him. He definitely was an interesting one that was a late ad here.
But I do think that he has relatively zero chance of winning.
Yeah, we're not betting him to win.
Yeah.
Now we're talking DraftKings.
We're talking DraftKings. But like with Kitayama, I do think he could win. But he's far less safe than someone like Ben Ann.
You gotta match in the volatility, and then you gotta know also what you're doing. You don't want to put 6 boom bust guys into your lineup and say, "Yeah, I'm unique." Yeah, you are, but you also have much higher risk of this thing busting out early. So I don't hate that conversation. I think the Bryson one was the most interesting, where we at least have a good reason to go there. I don't think he's like my favorite play in that range, but I think there is a spot here where he could show up, and then you're looking back and saying, wow, that conversation is what would have made a lot of sense.
Cam Young just seems to be the most mispriced guy this week in terms of the top end. Like, I don't know who would play him at $9,000. Like, why would you play him at $9,000? Outside of no one's playing him, so I'll play him. I get the skill set might be there, but him versus anyone within $400 of him, what is the case for him over anyone besides probably Justin Thomas?
Yeah, that's what the tough piece is. I guess people would say he's 1,700 less than Cam Smith, so I'll play him instead because no one's playing Cam Smith. And the point would be, again, when people are comparing, like looking at this course is not the same at all as last year's course, yet Cam Young was right behind Cam Smith. He actually ended up coming second.
True.
At that event. We know what his weapon is with the driver, but again, it can get pretty crazy off the tee, a little bit squirrely, and then you got a problem. So that's why, but I'm saying that'd be the only case you could really make, I think, for that from that perspective.
Yeah, and I've been harping on this for a while now. He's been marginally gaining on approaches. He's been marginally gaining around the greens. Cam Young, that is.
Yes, yep.
And actually putted quite well at the John Deere Classic. But like, we're giving him a ton of credit for the John Deere Classic because he came inside the top 6 against Adam Shank.
And couldn't even close down
the stretch. And that was his first good tournament in 4 months. And his biggest problem is that it's his gaining off the tee. It's good, but it's not elite. It's like the Morikawa thing. When he's not gaining 8 with his irons, well, he's kind of fucked.
Yeah, Sung Jae, same way.
So Justin Thomas is kind of the same way too. Like, if they're not doing their elite thing at an elite level, they're not going to win or be any good. Like at the John Deere Classic, it's not a huge driving course, but it didn't matter where he was going. There was a stretch last year leading up to basically through the Open Championship. He was gaining basically an average like 5.5 strokes per event off the tee. He's currently gaining 2.5. That's not cutting it.
Yeah, the only thing I guess I could say, I'm not a counter argument. I'm not high on Cam Young, but it's just like, again, we saw him. Remember the RBC Heritage when I was like, there's absolutely no way. This is a placement course. That's not his skill set. Blah blah blah. Again, didn't bear out in the end. But the point being is that what if he's just clubbing down here, and it's better for him? I don't know if we have that stat or if you can find something on that. But like, what if that's the method he goes with, and then you've got, like you said, it's around the green he can find it. With the putter, flatter, easier greens, maybe makes it easier on a guy like him. I don't know if that's going to help him, but it's just one thought I had in the back of my mind.
It could, but I just feel like the rest of his game sucks too much.
And the other problem too is the area that he's in. Like I said, that still matters in a game like DraftKings, where it's like you have a bunch of guys above and below him that to me are the same or better. Like, I'd rather play Bryson.
I'd rather play Hideki
than him. Yeah, there's other guys.
I'd rather play Lowry. I'd rather play Wyndham Clark. I'd rather play Dustin Johnson or Tommy Fleetwood. I'd rather
The bigger problem is that Hatton and Fleetwood are 94 and 9,300.
I'm not playing either of them this week.
Really?
No, fuck them. Fuck them.
Okay.
If I had to pick one, Hatton was one of my last cuts.
Okay.
But I like Hatton, but not going to get there. And is Fitz rope-a-doping us? Or is he just not playing well?
Someone said that. Someone said this is the Morikawa, I can't find my stuff before the event. And then that's the case. I don't know. He's definitely in play for me at 9,500. Like, he's fair. Could he be less? Yeah. Could he be 9,000 and I'd be happier? Absolutely. But at 9,500, I don't think it's crazy considering, like you said, Hatton, Fleetwood, Fitzpatrick. With those three, before what we've seen recently, who would you have been taking? I think people would have been taking Fitzpatrick. But now what we saw this season from Hatton, what he's been doing, right there in the mix again, Fleetwood, what he's been doing, it makes it tougher to hop on Fitzpatrick, where we got a major champion from just last season, sitting right there at 9,500. So, again, not advocating. He definitely looks less on paper than Hatton and Fleetwood, but the ownership shows that as well. I'm seeing him at like 7%.
Question and answer period is going to start in about 10 minutes or so, but I do want to build some lineups, and I do want to start actually with a question. Who is the lowest priced player you would feel comfortable with in single entry? Now, I think the public is going to tell you that the answer is Robert McIntyre. I think that will be the lowest priced player that you see in most people's single entry or 3 max lineups. Me, on the other hand, because I like to lose money, is like Matthew Southgate or Ben Griffin or Daniel Hillier.
Yeah, probably.
I don't care. I just want them to make the cut and we'll be good.
I can probably get sold on like Stenson.
Why is Stenson over someone like Daniel Hillier, for example, who's actually like lighting it up right now?
I think just more of the long-term major moxie, these type of events. He's actually been better on live lately. Even if he's not as good as what he once was, he still has the accuracy and stuff like that. So I just think, again, and then 6,200, still a fair price. Daniel Hillier's 61, though, so you can pick your poison there.
Daniel Hillier's 61. He has He's won third and fifth in 3 of his past 4 Euro starts, made the cut last week, had a terrible Sunday, but finished top 10 in both driving and approach at the Scottish.
Yeah, he also doesn't have the same motivation that Henrik Stenson has with the RNA. Shove it right up there. This is his chance to shine, get the W. So I know I don't think so, but I do think that our guy Baroff was selling me on Lee Hodges at 6,400 for a guy that can actually outscore his finishing position. I like that angle.
And I tried to make the case for Ben Griffin. I really do think that in single entry and higher stakes that you'll see some I don't want to say gaudy Southgate ownership, but 8-9% in some of these ones.
That seems a bit much.
If people want
it could happen. I'm saying that seems like I don't think I want any part of that.
Okay,
but I'm saying
I can see it.
One thing I will say though is that again, not who you play, it's how you play him. I can't play McIntyre. If you had in a vacuum, you just have to play the guy that's 1/9 of his ownership. I get it. I understand how math works. I'm saying that it's not who you play, it's how you play him. Why not have him as your 5th guy in and go below? Have a cheap guy that we just talked about, whether it's Grillo, Poston, Stenson, whoever you choose, pick your poison with Bobby Mack, and now see what you can do in those last 4 places and get your lineups a little bit different that way and just play him for the value that he is and then find something around it that makes you feel comfortable. Just saying.
I will tell you in the $200 single entry, Bobby Mack is my 2nd lowest price player.
There you go.
And I like the rest of my guys. I got my core 4 in there and just tried to jam around it.
So Hillier's in there?
Yeah.
All right.
And Bobby Mack.
There you go. Solved it for the people. You guys do the rest. But let me try and build the whole lineup, actually. Just give me 1 second.
See how predictable I am here. I basically told you what the lineup was earlier.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember all the rest. I have 1 sec. I'm almost there. I got 2 more to go. Is it? No, it's not that. Bryson. No, you're not playing Hatton. So I went with DJ, Morikawa, Hillier, McIntyre, and then I got stuck because Bryson leaves something that's not there. So maybe you don't have Bryson in this one?
I don't know because I played Scotty.
Oh, you got
I'm not going down to 6,100 to not play Scotty. Let's be real.
So Bobby Mack is actually your 3rd.
No?
If you have Hillier, I'm now down to Southgate.
No? Hillier, McIntyre, Denny.
Oh, I got something wrong then.
Okay, I have Denny and Connors in this lineup.
Denny and Connors. Okay, so Hillier, McIntyre, Coward, Scotty, no DJ?
No DJ.
That's what it was then. Okay, Connors and Denny.
So if you want to know how Pat loses $200,
we can start with that one. Yeah, let's see. All right.
We don't need to start with that one. Let's start with the more chalky version. Let's start.
I just put that one in. Let's see how bad it is.
Let's see how bad it is versus real good lineups. Rory, Bobby Mack, I think is a very common start that we're going to see.
And people can figure out their Scheffler one if they want to go there instead. Yeah. That's fine.
I think that Connors fits in perfectly because he's still less than average in this lineup. So we'll chuck Connors in. So what do you think that people do from here? This is actually what I'm really curious about this week.
I think it's like a choice of Harmon or someone down low.
Do you think that they go lower again into that Harmon or Denny McCarthy range? Or do they just kind of stick it out around here and use Justin Rose, Tom Kim, and someone?
No, because I think it's like Finau, Rose, and $7,400.
So do you think it's more likely that they try to get someone else big into this lineup? Let's say we put in Harmon, because I think that Harmon will be more owned.
Yeah, I think this is it.
What do you think Patty Harrington's ownership is going to be?
No, not enough to worry about.
Okay. So if we put in Harmon, we have $8,100 left. That means we could go
it's Finau
Rose. Yeah. That's
the
lineup.
The decision really there is like, okay, does someone want to play Tom Kim over Rose? Maybe. Does someone want to play Ryan Fox or Russell Henley over Brian Harmon or Denny? The same price, maybe. We don't care about that. We're just saying this is what a common chalky build would look like. And then, Pat, this goes to the point of what I was saying. Oh, Rory and who's the guy I was looking at? Yeah, Rory and Rose is very easily swapped to Scotty and
Denny.
a $7,500 guy.
No, not even that much.
But it's a similar range. It could be Henley, Denny, whoever you want it to be. Let's just say Denny.
And then you're up to Scheffler.
Yeah. And you still have Bobby Mack, Connors, Finau, Harmon. Harmon can go up $200, or you can mess around with taking McIntyre up to a 7K.
You could take McIntyre up to Ben Ann, which I actually don't hate.
So let's see what that one looks like. Yeah, it looks fine. And you got Scotty, Connors, Finau, McCarthy, Harmon, Ann. And again, not everyone's going to like these guys. Certain guys aren't going to like McCarthy and Harmon or not want to play Connors as the chalk that he is or something like that. But I'm just saying these lineups are very possible still. For anyone saying it was impossible to build, then pick the guys you like instead. Maybe you have a guy. My point is, anyone saying these lineups are impossible or they can't get to them or they're really hard to build, that's talking shit about a Denny McCarthy play, has a guy they like. Their original point, if I didn't just make this statement, would be Denny McCarthy's a loser play. I would play this guy instead, who happens to be the same price or less.
Which is probably a fair point.
It's the same lineup, though. Exactly, but you still got to an easy version of it. So it's not about Scotty not being possible to play. It's also not about, if you want to fade Scotty here, I got no problem with it. He's expensive, and he's going to have to make putts, and he hasn't been able to, and whatever. But it also would not surprise me if all of a sudden the time he makes the putts is when it matters most, and that's the narrative in the headlines after the fact. Scotty finally finds a putter, and it's at a major, and he wins the Open for the Claret Jug.
And the reason that I like Scotty so much this week is he doesn't even have to find his putter. He just has to not lose his putter.
And not go in the pop bunkers and get unlucky.
Yeah. I mean, how do you feel about the internal OB? I just see people like complaining about it. I like it.
I love it.
Fucking bring on the chaos.
What I wish...
I'm going to love it until Scotty goes out of bounds on like number 3.
I think
it's... Oh, fuck.
But what I don't understand is this, and maybe I'm way off on this. Again, it's like a golf rules thing, and you and Cuss would probably be better to talk about this.
I'm not, because I don't give a shit.
No, but, I mean, he would probably have his take, and you'd be able to battle with him on it. My thought is this, though. What I hate, Pat, is at the end of a tournament, we've seen it in like playoffs. I remember Brendan Todd won one year, where the other guy puts it straight and has a shot looking right at the green. He puts it to the left on his second shot, and it goes to the left of the grandstand. Therefore, whatever that thing is called, where he gets to place it inside, and now he almost has the same shot as the other dude. And the argument is always made that, well, if other dude had went in that spot, he would have got the relief too. True and fair. But the point is, Brendan Todd knew this shit was there.
Oh, it was Chris Kirk.
And goes left. Whoever it was.
Yeah.
My point is like, it's bullshit to me, is the other guy knew that shit was there and said, I'm going to put it in a place I can still see the hole. Brendan Todd knew that shit was there, but if he goes awry and goes out there, don't worry, you get to play it from almost the same spot as dude who actually hit the good shot and not take a penalty. Yes, he would take the penalty if he hit it there too, but it's just like internal OB. You know that it's there. You can't play into it or you're fucked. And that's the point. If you can't get it right, you shouldn't get a benefit of that. I hate that rule. When you can just jam it into the wall up top or anything because it's there. Again, you can all take advantage of it the same way too, but I don't like that that's the way it is.
Well, wait till you're sitting at the hospitality tent on the 18 at TPC Twin Cities.
Yeah,
because that's the move.
Pound it into it.
Just pound it into it. Go for the hole on your second shot, and if you're too long,
It's why I contradict myself a little, because for that's a strategy. We just watched Fleetwood and Nick Taylor at the Canadian Open, and we were saying, why the hell wasn't Fleetwood just doing it?
Rahm at Riviera, too.
Yeah, why don't they just do that? Now, that's more of the strategy, but what I hate is when it's like to the left of it, and they all of a sudden get to bring it back in, and it's like, well, you shouldn't have aimed over there. You shouldn't have been standing there.
Yeah,
you know?
You should have been standing there.
That type of thing.
But the whole point is, like, that's a man-made obstruction. Yeah. Why Spieth got that relief to beat Kuchar the year that he did at Birkdale.
Groups literally had to go in front of him, I believe. Speaking of that, it's a good Open story. I think it was, like a half-hour wait to figure that one out. Just so bad.
Good thing they were the last group. And good thing I had money on Kuchar and not Jordan Spieth. That was always fun, just to see him go nuclear down the stretch, making 45-foot putts all of a sudden.
Poor Cooch, that was
Poor Cooch eating a sandwich in the middle of the fairway, just waiting.
Where is Cooch? He didn't qualify this year?
I don't believe he did, no, because he
Clearly
ended up going back to play the John Deere.
Damn.
Either way, let's build a few more lineups. If you want to start putting your questions in now for the Q&A period, Slim Brody has the first one right now.
What is it? Let's take it.
Well, no, we're not going to get to it yet, but that's the first one.
Oh, you're making a reminder for the
as I said at the beginning of the show, that if you put it in previous to this, I'm not going to answer because I'm not going to scroll back through the entire fucking chat. I'm going to start at a point and we're going to go from there. So we'll give you a 5-minute warning on the questions. I'll even tweet that out to the peoples right now.
Slim Shady's bro, Slim Brody is the first question.
Yep.
All right, that's the tweet.
Your Q's getting answered. Starting in 5 minutes. Load them in now. Caps. There we go. Easy stuff. Let's try to build out a few more of these lineups. What do you think are combined ownership on Scheffler and Rory this week? Do you think it's 45%?
40.
40?
Give or take.
And how many people do you think are playing Rory and Scheffler together? 1%?
It gets tough. It drops right to 6,400.
I mean, it gets pretty easy. You can play here. Let me just fire you up a Rory.
No, we can do it.
I'll give you like a millionaire maker winning Scheffler Rory lineup if you want one. Do you want one or not?
Go ahead.
Where's Southgate? We'll throw Southgate in there right now. Where's Bobby Mack? We'll throw Bobby Mack in there right now. Where's my guy Ben Griffin? We'll throw him in there right now. One spot left, $7,200. Who do we like at $7,200? We like Kurt Kitayama. Boom, $1 million. Easiest game in the world.
We'll be chopping this one up. All right. I thought you were going to say Hillier, but okay,
Hey,
Griffin.
we can throw Hillier. You can throw Stenson in there.
You want to make it better? I got a lineup for you.
Okay, let's hear it.
No, it's not my better version. It's Pat's better version, but we can get to it now, I think. Oh, we're a little short. Who did you like at, did you like Connors or you like Scott? Who do you like?
I like Connors a lot.
Okay. And then we only have 63. Okay, you can play Scotty, Rory, Ben Griffin, Southgate, Hillier, Connors.
That's pretty good. Sounds like $1 million.
A lot of these sound like $1 million.
I mean, that one does. That one is $1 million though. I'll sell that to you right now for $500K.
We'll already be chopping it up more than that because the people listening right now are making it as we go hand building.
There's 0% chance people are like, yeah, I should really play these jabroni Scheffler Rory lineups.
You're underestimating the power of FOMO. Someone's like, damn, Pat said it's going to win $1 million. Tambo said it's going to get duped. I want to be in that dupe train. Let's go build it.
Hey, that does work out perfectly, doesn't it, with Connors in it? How about that?
Even got some money to spend. But I guess, that's, what do you need what? We're talking the runaway. Like, we need Scotty and Rory to just go.
Run away, and we need the other guys to finish inside the top 10, 2 inside the top 20.
Yeah, more so the first part I care about, though, like why that parlay seems tough to hit, because the idea is you really do need them to do more than that. Let's try and build like...
let's build a balanced lineup.
I was just going to say that.
Yeah.
So that's where we're thinking the same.
Is it the Brits? Is it like Ricky Hatton start?
Yeah, I think that's fine. I think that's a good lineup start. I know you don't love Hatton this week.
And listen, it's not even that I don't love Hatton. I just didn't end up playing Hatton. Like, there's only so many guys I wanted to play, and he kind of fell by the wayside. I wanted to consolidate more of my ownership on Bryson, DJ, Spieth, Morikawa, and Ricky. Like, someone can't play them all.
So is this like with Connors, and we're saying like a way to get different than the Scotty Scheffler Connors build?
No. I just think that, what do you think the common, like, where, like, I think the purpose of these builds is, so we did if you start with Rory, if you start with Scheffler, like, where are you logically going to go next? Mm-hmm. And then fill in the pieces. And you can see that a lot of the same, like, filler pieces, the meat of the sandwich ends up being the same because you only have so much wiggle room to go with, because you always get stuck in the same area. So, like, right now, if we start Fowler Hatton, we're back in the same area as we were when we started Rory Bobby Mack. We're back at $7,700.
Yeah, I actually just found it, and it alleviates us of Fowler to Fleetwood, but it's because you get the same build as what you're on. Now I can find the 2v2, but I think it's Fleetwood Hatton, and then you still get the Finau, Rose, Connors, Harmon with the $100 left. So is Fleetwood Hatton Scotty Bobby Mack? No.
I think it's a few dollars short.
Sorry, it's Rory Bobby Mack.
It's Rory Bobby Mack.
So there's an example.
Which I like better, like, honestly. Don't you?
Fleetwood Hatton or Rory Bobby Mack?
I like Rory Bobby Mack better than Fleetwood Hatton. If I was going to put money behind a lineup that I entered, I like the Rory version better.
Okay. That's
do you?
It's pretty similar, I guess. I mean, my problem is you got everybody in this lineup that it's just so chalky.
Everyone has?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
so how do we get different with this lineup? Like, this one, I think, is like the Fleet and Hatton start, let's say. I think this is an interesting one to play one of these cheap guys in. Instead of calling it Bobby Mack, let's call it Jordan Smith. So take out Finau and put in Jordan Smith, and what goes on from here? So we take out Rose, take out Harmon. Now we have Connors, Smith, Hatton, Fleetwood. So now we have $8,400 left, which can make you super unique because that's the dead area with all this stuff. You can play like Sam Burns, Homa, or you could play like Bryson, Denny McCarthy.
It's like it's Rose, Bryson.
Rose, Bryson, yeah.
Yeah, so you can have Hatton, Fleetwood,
Bryson,
Connors, Rose, Connors, Smith, or
Bobby Mack or
Bobby
whoever.
Mack.
Brendan Grace,
your
guy. We didn't even mention Minwoo Lee either. That if this does turn into driving and putting, like, those are legitimately the two things he does well.
Yeah, Minwoo was 7,700.
Yeah, so instead of Connors, play Minwoo, and now it's far less chalky.
Yeah, those are the types of flips you can make, right? I want to build the one real quick because I know I got to go to these questions, but let's do the Bryson, DJ.
Live Smash?
Not just Live Smash. No, because I want to play like the guys that we talked about that I don't think as many people are going to that we actually think could come through here.
Did
we say Spieth as well?
Yeah, let's go. Okay, let's start this. Spieth, DJ, Bryson, Reed. Because I'm playing Reed.
Yeah, like that's what I'm saying. Let's try this lineup.
That leaves
Also,
you
isn't
with
this like
73.50, which means you can go Ben and Corey Connors or Min Woo if you wanted to. That's actually a pretty good lineup.
I like that.
Spieth, Dustin, Bryson, Reed, Ben and Connors.
Yeah, or Min Woo.
Or you could play Denny and Harmon together, or Fox, or whoever.
Who's the Reed you said? I was going to actually say now we could flip. This made me think of it. DJ, Spieth, Reed, take out Bryson, go Hideki, and then let's finish out the Masters lineup. These sometimes come through. They play good, even though they're not correlated at all. It's the ones that you correlate up. So Hideki, DJ, Spieth, Reed. Who else can we put in the Masters lineup? We have 7,300 left.
73 in the Masters lineup?
J Day,
Siwoo.
Scott.
Siwoo.
Yeah, how much is Siwoo?
73.
And then it leaves us 73. Is there anyone lower? Like who's in the 6K range?
Louis.
Yeah, Louis. Let's do Louis.
I mean, Phil is also 69.
Oh, and Connors. You land on Connors.
There you
Didn't
go.
Min Woo show up at the...
No, he did not show up at the Masters.
What was that one round?
The first year he showed up at the Masters.
Yeah. But listen to this lineup. So you've got Spieth, DJ, Hideki, Connors, Reed, Louis.
Sounds pretty good.
And it sounds like guys that could battle through in any conditions. Get through, make the cut. Any weather comes up. You're not worried about what if it gets crazy on Saturday. Like they could find their way through still.
I did write this up. I think it's in the Golf Digest and my DK column, and I think it's in the newsletter as well. I think I wrote this kind of up everywhere. Is another reason to like Scheffler. I mean, there's every reason to like Scheffler. I'm not creating something new here, but that's one of the reasons too. It doesn't matter what it's doing out. It could be raining, could be windy, could be nice. It's fine for Scotty Scheffler. It fucks with some of the other top players. Doesn't fuck with him.
He just throws on Scotty Vestler.
Yeah,
man.
he's just
he
like
jams the vest on and just rolls through it. But he did say, I think it was Ron Kloss, PJ Splits 101, had the quote from Scotty, and it was around the links golf stuff because he actually hasn't played a bunch of it, but he still shows up. And he shows up anywhere because his game just translates any course, any conditions. That's why he's the best. The run is probably not being talked about enough, even though it's being talked about a lot for how insane this run is that he's on right now.
Cam Davis didn't make it in, did he?
No.
Interesting.
Is he playing in the Barracuda?
Yeah, I don't know if he is or not. Justin Suh is. Do we ride the hot form with Lingmerth?
Ugh.
68. Like he's someone who should be like 5,800.
Correct.
Like he is wildly overpriced.
I think.
68.
And how did he get thrown in like the same price as Ben An? When, like you said, Ben An to me fits the course better, and
I mean, there's
has been good and was solid last week again.
But Ben An made the cut here as a youngster in 2014. He's won at Wentworth. Like it's funny that if we don't think about this as a traditional link style, and we think about it as a more driver-heavy course where you just need to be really good off the tee, I feel like that brings like Lawrence actually then would be really good. Meronk would be really good. Like guys that play well at Wentworth, or even the Betfred British Masters, which isn't a links course at all, but a very driver-heavy course. Then all of a sudden, it's like, okay,
That's our Bryson angle too.
yeah.
Let me build this one. Leave out Lawrence because I know you love him. We can switch to him.
How much is Hoagie? Hoagie's 64.
But if you go Bryson, Meronk, and Ben An, who else are some of the guys you want to play on this driver heavy? Like Finau?
Finau's driver's been shit.
Yeah, it's not been the greatest, but I'm just trying to think of who else. Yeah, Connors, long enough and straight.
Long enough and straight. Let me just sort by strokes gained off the tee. Let's see what we're doing here. I mean, in this lineup, you could use Hillier and or Jordan Smith, who are
We're gonna do that
excellent-
version because
excellent drivers of the ball.
That adds up. I might probably do Jordan Smith, but we'll go there last. Just leave it for a
Because
second.
I'll go. Open
I want to try and stop at Benny Ann for a second just to see. So Ann, Meronk, Bryson, 9K average left. So give me some more guys.
Neiman,
I like Neiman.
Siwoo.
Let me do Siwoo first, though. Siwoo, yeah.
And how much money do we have? I have no idea.
I'm going to try Siwoo and Neiman, actually. And it leaves us 12-2.
So almost Scotty.
Who was the guy at 6,700 you said? Is Jordan Smith 67 or 68?
I believe he's 68. Yeah, he's 68.
Damn.
If I go to the DP World Tour page and go to the stats, Otagie has the highest driving accuracy, and Jordan Smith has hit the most greens in regulation.
Ooh, what if I take... Okay, here's the deal. I got the lineup.
Strokes gained off the tee on... Oh, man, Henny Duplessis, number 4. Meronk leads all players in strokes gained off the tee on the Euro Tour. Nikolai Højgaard is 3rd.
Okay, I kind of like him too. But what was the top dogs? Like Rory, Scotty, Rahm? How did it weight out for you?
I believe it's Scotty then Rory.
In the same model?
Let's see. Scotty, Cantlay, Rory, Bryson, Victor are your top 5 off the tee.
Scotty can't lay wrong.
And then Hatton.
How much is Nikolai?
Nikolai Højgaard?
7,100.
Does that fit? Like if you dropped Siwoo to him, could you then have Scheffler?
It's Niwoo.
Niwoo.
Neiman. Niwoo Scheffler is the guy to play. But yeah, go back. Look at this lineup now. Scotty, Bryson, Siwoo, Moronk, Højgaard, Benny Ann. Don't touch the 6K. All driver, all gas, no brakes. Just smash it. Scotty, Bryson, Siwoo, Moronk, Højgaard, Benny Ann.
Trying to play the Sawgrass lineup now. See what I can get myself into here.
Well, the best Sawgrass player of all time is Hideki Matsuyama when he won after one round.
That's true. Tim used that as one of his cases for making him his top pick of the week.
It's like a lot of guys. Who is it? So Ricky, Hideki.
I know. I just built the one from this year. So I have like Scheffler, Minwoo, Rose, Hoagie, Sungjae. And I'll throw Ben in, who actually has a pretty good record there over the years.
So it's Scheffler, Minwoo, Rose, Hoagie. I don't know how, yeah. Hoagie. And then you said Ben Ann. Mm-hmm. And that leaves me with 8,400. Who did you go to there?
I don't remember.
Sungjae?
Sungjae, yeah.
There you go. They all kind of project similarly. So, yeah, interesting stuff. I think in the end, playing Scheffler and some of these other guys are going to be popular builds. But like we talked through it, there's definitely ways to get to them. Like there's no way you have to say it's impossible to play them.
Questions from the audience. We'll see how many we make it through without having to ban anyone for their stupid fucking questions. Because if you have a stupid fucking question, you're getting banned for life. I'll get Tim to curse you. That's not good. You can rectify that, though. Get yourself out of a curse by smashing the like to the episode right now and going down, subbing to the newsletter in the description, completely free. And you'll find all of the ways to get in that draw for $2,000. A lot of rich people out there don't want to get in a draw for $2,000.
How many likes?
We're at 218 now, so we're still going with it. But we could use more always. I'm just saying, like, how long does it take to scroll down on Apple Podcasts and hit 5 stars? Honestly,
easy.
3 seconds.
Yeah.
And you do that, leave a quick review, like, hey, I like this show from. I'll use this guy's name, Slim Brody.
Yeah. And any Canadians, please get on it for us.
If you're international, I mean, obviously America and Canada help out the most. But if you're in not one of those places where it's less of a giant market in terms of fantasy content, you could really help us out with some reviews here. Like if you're in Azerbaijan, which I'm sure our friends in Azerbaijan have been doing. That's why we're number 2 on the charts over there. Yeah. So thank you very much. Low 7K range is solid. Fox, Henley, Harmon, Denny, Woodland, Kirk, lots of options. That's not a question.
Damn, Slim Brody.
No more questions. That's going to be the end of it.
Slim Brody.
Thoughts on Hoagie this week? 19th last week in Scotland, 3rd place at Sawgrass. I mean, he just fit in that Sawgrass build that I did. I don't like Hoagie.
Might be the only place he goes for me.
In the Sawgrass
He's in
lineup?
the Sawgrass build, and I'll play, yeah.
All right, so we're both out on Hoagie. How much are you factoring in event history? A lot of the 7 to 7.5K range has no positive open history besides Norin or Harmon. Denny's never played in an open before, so that's not helpful. I think you can choose to believe or not believe how much of it as you want. I think Morikawa kind of destroyed that narrative the year that he won.
Yeah, I just think all these guys are better. We've seen it now also, too, with the young up-and-comers. Not that this range is filled with those, but just saying there's guys are just ready to play, and you'll find tons of different people find the top of the board. So I don't use that too much here at all.
Harmon, Ben Ann, or Siwoo? I like Siwoo, Ben Ann, then Harmon.
Exact same for me.
Clark and DJ or Brooks and Neiman? I don't
Clark
love
and DJ or Brooks and Neiman. I'll probably go Brooks and Neiman only because
because Brooks,
the Clark side of things. I actually like DJ.
I like DJ too.
I don't love Wyndham.
Wyndham's okay.
Has been crushing, but I think a lot of it stems from this little Michael Kim thread where people are like, oh, it plays like Quail and plays like this, and he just won. This is the setup for him. Like his shot on 18 to win the U.S. Open is OB at this tournament. So hopefully he doesn't pull that off.
And that's not even just internal OB.
No,
he's like actually off the property somewhere.
See ya.
But also knowing that he can't do that is a bit different too. Like when you're on 18 at LA Country Club, you can miss there. And so hit it as hard as you fucking want. So now it's a little bit different when you're going into it. The one thing I will take away, because we see this with athletes all the time, not always the best at assessing things. Because they see everything through their lens. not necessarily objective to what you're looking for as an overall strategy. And maybe Michael Kim's very good at that. But I just notice it like when you watch like ex-players on football pre-games. Like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah, in some cases, that's why. And some pulled the wool over. Tony Romo was good for quite some time there, and then people weren't feeling it after all. So
But that's because he gets too excited.
yeah, maybe that's the Michael Kim thing, though, right?
Yeah, I actually tend to...
We're just excited because we're getting an
Info,
angle.
yeah, that's great.
We love that. So that could be part of it. But yeah, I don't know if that's an exaggeration. My thing for Wyndham, too, is that there's just, again, the other guys around him. Like, we didn't talk a lot about this range, and that's meaning others won't go there as much. But man, Sungjae, Homa, Burns, Bryson, Hideki. Like, I actually don't have any problem with any of those guys. So you can play them, especially in the large field stuff. These are real winners on the PGA Tour that have not all of them, but haven't shown the greatest stuff in majors. But I definitely think they could show up at this one.
Fitz and Griot or Spieth and Griffin? I like Spieth and Griffin. I like Spieth more than Fitz. I like Griffin more than Griot. That's an easy one.
And I'm opposite on both, so I'll probably go the other.
Front running and one and done. DJ, Lowry, or Rose? I would take DJ. I'm taking DJ anyway, so DJ, easy answer.
Yeah, I don't love the other two as much. Lowry, interesting, but man, I think I would just go DJ there.
I like this one too. Tim Peterson. Marcel Siem or Ewan McPherson or both?
Ewan Ferguson?
Yeah, Ewan Ferguson, sorry.
Oh,
I keep calling him Ewan McPherson for some. I know a guy named Ewan McPherson, so I keep saying it.
are looking
I'm
up.
playing Ewan Ferguson in lineup, so he's my answer.
I would pick him if I was picking one.
Played him last week too. He was great. What narrative is stronger this week? Morikawa can't play well in windy conditions or his accurate driving? I would say, based on the ownership percentages, his accurate driving.
Yeah, I would also say probably people are playing him, so I don't think there's anything to worry about with narratives. It's more of, do you want to play him or not?
Keep them questions coming. Smash the like when you're out there. You can only ask a question if you're subbed to Mayo Media Network. The moment you sub to Mayo Media Network, boom! You instantly have three ballots in that draw for the $2,000. We're doing the cut sweats this week too. Friday early morning, early afternoon, whatever it might be. So that's going to be a lot of fun. Which former winner in the 6K range are you most likely to play between Louis, Phil, Padraig, and Stenson? And I think Louis is very clearly the best option. Like, throw pricing out the window of those guys. But Stenson's the most playable option because of his price point.
I like the two at the bottom, Stenson and Padraig. I play Paddy the Batty all the time. It continuously is fine, and people hate on it because he's old. But
Ages him.
yeah, he's fine.
So watch Phil just.
And how old is Louis, by the way?
I don't know.
40,
You could
45?
tell me like Louis is like 35, and I wouldn't bat an eye. Let's see. Louis is 40.
40, okay. Not quite as old as our guy Patty, but still, I don't mind Patty.
Patty's
down
on
there.
the Sonora tour.
Yeah, I just think he's fine. He's 6,600. I like him. I like Stenson. Louis gonna get popular. I think he's fine. It's not like a too popular number or anything like that. I just don't think he's as high as those other guys, and price matters a little bit less.
Okay. In the race for the Mayo Cup one and done, which you can play at fantasygolfchampionships.com. As always, we open up those tournaments probably in December, I think, and they fill up very quickly, so bookmark that for when it comes around. I'm in about 200th place. I still have Rory, Hovland, and Ricky. I'll use 2 in the FedEx Cup. Who do I use here? And am I a moron for not using Rory? I don't think you're a moron for not using Rory, but I'd use Rory or Ricky. And Rory,
I just use Rory.
yeah.
He's front running. You said, right?
Well,
The other guy said that, but he said he's up there.
He's in 200th.
Yeah.
Well, I guess it really depends on how much are the other ones worth. I think they might be worth more than the Open.
Yeah, they're still worth money.
But I think they're worth more money, which I think has to kind of factor into it, right? Like if the BMW Championship is worth more money than the Open Championship in terms of how much you're going to get paid, I think that has to play a factor, doesn't it?
I would factor in who's going to win.
Okay.
And it's
Rory?
Rory's the favorite, and you're in 200. Then
And not
Rory
everyone
fails
else.
this week, and you're like, I dodged a bullet. I didn't play him. Now you feel good about playing him at the next one, or which one is it, and all these other factors. So I would play Rory coming off the win, coming into the biggest event, and then hope for the best, and then pick your spots for those last two at the other spots.
Rory also only available in 18% of one and done.
Yeah, the
leagues.
answer
So he
is
might
Rory.
be 17% owned this week, but the max he can be is 18% owned, whereas Fowler's still available in like 42%. So you could probably expect a little bit more ownership on Ricky. So you might as well just take Rory.
I like that.
We joked about Cam Smith living near TPC Sawgrass. We sure did. What about $6,500 Matthew Jordan, who was a member of the course? We talked about him. I used him in my pool, but because I think he's like an all right player, but
I did not.
that's about it.
Yeah.
Will jamming 4 9K guys and finishing with the low 6K and 5K guys be a common build, Tambo? No, it won't.
I don't even know what that is. Let me just quickly look, because I'm assuming it's like McIntyre. We can do it real quick.
I think it's McIntyre, Southgate. McIntyre, Southgate, Cantlay, Morikawa, Dustin, and Hatton would be my guess just off the top of my head, if that fits.
It's Morikawa, Hatton, Fleetwood, Dustin. That's what fits.
Okay. I mean, I don't hate that lineup, but I don't think people are like, man, here's the lineup everyone's playing. That lineup.
Yeah, that's fine. The main thing about that one is that's just a way to do it a little bit differently, because most people plugging in Southgate, like I said, are immediately starting with Southgate.
And Scheffler or Rory.
Exactly, because you go Southgate, you plug them in, you've got 8,800 left, so you feel like you got all the money in the world. You go Scotty, I still have almost 8,000. I can start playing these low 7K guys, and all this other stuff fits in. So, it's fine.
This is interesting. Not this one. We'll do this one first. Who do you love more, Bobby Mack or Harman? I like Bobby Mack more. But here's a Bobby Mack question that's kind of the opposite way. Evan Braun asks, Ewan McPherson, almost 4-1 to be top Scottish player. Are there any other Scottish players besides him and Bobby Mack? Because if that's the case, that's an auto bet.
I'm assuming. What's the market say?
I got to go find it now, but that's outrageous if there's only 2 of them and those are the odds.
Is the Ewan Ferguson going a little bit too far here?
I don't know, but
he won the boys league in 2013. Like, that's 10 years ago. I know it sounds like yesterday. We're in 2023.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah,
happened.
that's where a lot of this comes. Again, I mean, he's a couple recent results like last week, and he's a good player. I'm not saying that.
I've been playing him because he has good form
the
on the
knockoff
DP.
Ricky Fowler, man. This is the guy. But I'm just saying, I wonder if that's where this is stemming from a little bit. Obviously, he's fine.
I don't think so. I think when you just go look at his Euro results, and he finished top 15 last week at the Scottish. Like, here's a guy who's 6,100 who just competed against all the top guys. He played pretty well, and he's been playing well in Europe anyway. And he's Scottish, so he's probably plenty familiar with this style of play. I think that's more the reason. If I didn't know what the hell you were talking about, is that like...
That's true.
Is that going to be like common knowledge?
Oh, no, probably not. So I've got Richie Ramsey.
Richie Ramsey.
Connor Syme.
Okay, so there's 9
And then Mark Warren.
Okay, never mind.
Cut it off. But I don't know.
I don't hate that, but I thought it was a 4-1 head-to-head versus Bobby Mack, which I would then take.
It's probably not too far off. I mean, those other guys
It's not,
great,
but this is the Open Championship. If fucking Graham Robertson was like T6 after 3 days, I'd be like, I don't even know who that guy is. That doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, I'm not on Ramsey, but again, if he shows up at a link style course and is in the mix for whatever reason, I don't think it holds. Just in general, it would suck to have that bet and be like, damn, that guy beat me.
Brent says, don't you hate when you quote when your stan player gets possible? Well, I'm not 13 years old, so I don't use the word stan. Has the Straka love become Steam?
No.
Is anyone playing Straka?
No, I've got him under 5%.
Yeah, so no. Will playing Bobby Mack in more balanced builds and not Scotty Rory lineups be unique enough? I mean, if you think that Bobby Mack's going to play well, play him and figure it out elsewhere.
Yeah, too much conversation around that. People, like, again, I know it's important.
And no one's 35% this week.
You're allowed to play Bobby Mack and get different elsewhere. Again, I know why people will say he's a horrible chalk play and all that. I get it. I'm saying again, if you think he's the value and you like him, play him and then figure it out elsewhere. That's if you're playing a 20% Bobby Mack or a 20% Rory, maybe you don't play them both together. But my point is, if you want to play 20% Rory, he's better at 20% because he's Rory McIlroy and he can win the thing. But the price comes with it. It matters. We play a salary-based game. You still are going to look to get different down below. If you want to play a 15 to 18 or 20% Bobby Mack, play him. And then get different in the other spots. Balance it out. Use a Bryson or a Bryson DJ combo or something like that where you're different that way. And if that comes through and Bobby Mack is still needed, again, if Bobby Mack comes through, a lot of lineups are dead because this guy's just he's going to be in a bunch. And a lot of combos become dead. So play him differently if you're playing him, but you're allowed to play him as your value play.
Do you like Scotty plus 5 to 7 or dipping into the 6s and 5s with him? I mean, I played it both ways. I built 100 lineups with my full player pool of like 26 guys with an emphasis on Scheffler, but then I can tell you the guys that I played at the bottom because I think the next question pertains to this, like, do I like Laurie Cantor, Stenson? I'm not playing any of those jabronis. I'm playing these jabronis instead. I am playing Southgate. I got to sort by salary. There we go. Southgate, Ben Griffin, Ewan Ferguson, Daniel Hillier, Thirsty Lawrence, Youst Loughton, Matthew Jordan, Alexander Bjalk, Jordan Smith. Those are the guys.
Yeah. I think one
From
thing you could
56
do
to 68.
with Scotty lineups is go at most 3 7K guys. There's 30 in there, and I think again, some people build Scotty with all 5. A lot will build Scotty with 4 and with Bobby Mack. So one thing you could do is either exclude Scotty Mack. I was going to say exclude Bobby Mack from your Scotty lineups if you want to go aggressive with it and just move off it completely, or you could build it where you don't have as many 7K guys, because most Scotty lineups are going to feel pretty comfortable getting those 7K guys, and then having one Bobby Mack guy or something like that in there.
Chris Turner asks, over under 27 players under par. It's minus 225. And full disclosure, I put $1,000 on that.
So you think more, right?
More, yeah.
Yeah. I like that bet.
Yeah. It's just, you need to bet big on that, on a minus 225. You know what I mean? It's not like it's 80.
They're not giving you the value anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I actually, when I calculated it out, I had it at, it should have been listed at minus 475. So I do think it's actually extreme value. That's why I bet on it. But
it feels like it's close. I guess what I was saying is it feels like a bad number too at 27 and a half that they're using, but that's where the juice comes from. But then it's like you've calculated if you feel that's the juice should be 400 or 475 or something. Then
I have it closer to minus 500 than minus 200, and it's minus 225 right now. So I do think it's a really good bet. I mean, that's the stuff that we don't talk about this shit on the show all the time.
Right.
We like to bet on outrights, and that's fun, and that's what people are here for. The margins are really made in like finding bets like this.
Yeah.
When I'm like losing a whole bunch on outrights, like I've made this bet for sometimes it's a lot, sometimes it's a little bit less, whatever it might be. But like I'm still having winning weeks because of this stuff.
And it's fine. You just, even if you're balancing out and everything and then making a little bit by the end of the year when you have a pop week or something like that, that's fine. And the books aren't caring too much because it's not enough to matter. And they're like, well, he's still also betting Matthew Southgate first round leader. So let's roll it out here. We'll let it happen.
Rory and Brooks and one and done. I like Brooks except the pairing with Cantlay. Yeah, excuses for Brooks. They're already coming in. But Cuss picked him. I wanted to keep Rory for the playoffs. Thoughts? I mean, I guess that makes more logical sense to use Brooks now because you can use Rory at a later date. But
again, if you're up there in this, then the strategy is that it's your last chance to use Brooks.
I actually think Rory's a better play based on the ownership percentages that are left.
It's true, but if you're not, again, I just think if you're using it that way and you have both, I would use Brooks now because you're not going to be able to play him.
I think if you need to catch up, you use Rory because more people will use Brooks this week because it is their last chance.
If you need
Brooks.
I didn't hear the first part.
I don't know either. Like I don't know what the standings.
I meant if you're in the front, I'd be fine with it just because Rory's still going to be fine at anything. Like we just talked with the other guy, but for him, it was like Ricky and Lowry or something like that, or Fleetwood. I would just be fine using Rory as the best option.
What's the paper on top of the logo? I have no idea what he's talking about.
Keep your hands warm.
This paper?
Maybe the paper on top of the Tim Hortons logo.
Oh, yeah. Oh, this?
Don't want to show it off because Timmy's won't sponsor the show, so too bad.
Oh, no, it's just because I drink Americanos and it will burn my hands if I try to pick it up.
That's what it's for, yeah. If they're asking what the paper is, top of the logo, but I don't know what else they'd be talking about.
This may be the week that Cuss picks actually come through. In fairness to him, he just picked the winner of the U.S. Open. Mm-hmm. So I would say that they probably came through that week. Like Thigala to miss the cut this week, high potential to drive it all over the place. He just never popped up for me. Like I just kind of nothing him this week. I would like to see him play well, but
I think he's probably fine. I think
no one is playing him in DFS.
No one's playing him. He's 7,500. He's definitely a creative type, so you could play it from that angle, but it will depend on what his driver does. He's one of those high volatility boom bust guys we talked about where I feel like if he shows up, he really shows up. If he doesn't, though, he's gone.
Thanks for doing these live again. It is harder, more work. Do you think doing it live influences the build at all, better or worse? I mean, I just don't like to do it live because I don't like taking fucking questions.
Or when we were usually doing it live, we're trying to get it out early enough for as many people as possible. But then it was also really early where if it's not a major week where everyone's tuned in and dialed
exactly,
in.
Yeah.
It's much less engagement. The questions are less. There's less to banter about or go on and find.
See, you remember these things. I forget why we switch back to doing it live to tape rather than just doing it as a live stream because our time zone is so much farther ahead of most people's that we're recording at like 9:30 in the morning. It's 8:30 Eastern, 7:30 Central. People aren't up on the West Coast. Like, there's no point of doing it live.
Yeah.
Thoughts on Rose? He killed me the last few weeks. Really? Like when he came sixth at the Betfred?
Yeah. I don't.
Thanks, Brian England. Thanks for paying attention.
No, I don't think he was playing him there though. He's not messing around with that. But I do think one interesting point we didn't bring this guy up was Scott at 7,900 burned everybody last week.
Oh, he's going to be popular regardless. I mean, I talked to Cam about it on the Best Bet show. He's all over Adam Scott. You know why? Because Adam Scott was top 10 here in 2014 and 2006. That is good.
And in 14, he was on the bad side of the wave.
And that is, I don't think people know. I didn't know that, so I don't think people
Extra
know
added bonus.
Yeah, he's great.
I think he's going to be less than 10%.
Really?
Yeah. I've got him at about 8.5, 9 right now. We'll see if he gets late steam, but people are playing Rose instead, Finau above, and then you go down to Connors below. Again, they can't all get steamed here, so he'll get some, but I'm saying it's between 7 and 10 for me more than it is like what we've seen him at 15 to 20 in some of these spots at that price. I think people are just done with him now.
Connors plus 110 3-ball against Billy Horschel and Alex Noren seems tasty. That does not seem tasty.
No.
A plus 110 3-ball with Corey Connors?
No.
Good Lord.
And I also think like Noren could find it. I don't like Billy Ho.
I don't like Billy Ho either, but like, think about if this was just a head-to-head, Connors versus Billy Ho. It would probably be what, minus 150? But now we're throwing a third man into it?
Yeah, don't like that.
Yeah. Any love for Stuart Sink or Matt Wallace? No.
I would take Wallace over Sink, but
Sure.
probably
but,
neither.
Like, neither is probably the answer.
Yes.
Thoughts on my old man lineup? Rory, DJ. Rory's like 34 years old. Rory, DJ, Rose, Todd, Harrington, and Phil. Who is your favorite old guy this week? Well, if we're using the Rory strategy, Scheffler's my favorite old guy this week because he's 27.
Patty the Batty, the oldest one in the bunch, I think, 51 or whatever he is. So I would go with him.
8K range forgotten. Where can we pivot to and which plays we like at this range? I told you.
You're not even pivoting. There's nobody.
Yeah, who are you pivoting off of if no one's being used?
If
You play
Wyndham
Bryson.
Clark, I guess Finau's the only one you'd be pivoting off of, and maybe Rose. But the rest, Tom Kim a little. There's none of them are owned enough. This is where people get so confused in their own thoughts. Oh, if this guy's going to be 9%, I need to find the 7% guy. Why? Like, play the guy you want to play.
Steven says, great, you just listed my exact optimal lineup with Hatton and Fleetwood.
Yeah.
That's what we're trying to do is pick out how people are trying to build and how we can get different. If you go to 53-27, we start building lineups. That's what it's for. How much are you factoring in the Anderkirk this week? Place outrights on Cantlay and Fleetwood. If there's anything that can get Cantlay and Fleetwood over the line, the Anderkirk is probably the answer on that.
Yeah, and coming off the Wyndham Clark, last major Open winner, so I think it's worth a shot.
If you've just tuned in, smash the like, and I am giving one of you $2,000. Get the info in the newsletter link that is down in the description right now and play in the Listeners League, which could be full as of right now, for all I know. I know that there were spots left at the beginning of the show. We'll see if that's the case at the end of the show. I would be more afraid of Tim blessing me than cursing me. That's true. I'll get, you know what? If you don't smash the like and you don't enter the contest and rate and review the audio podcast, I'll get Tim to send you a nice thank you note or Christmas card or something.
You just
like
came
that.
up with new content. Anderblessed.
Anderblessed?
Yeah,
Oh,
we
no.
could start that up. It's the spin-off series. You know how those work. Those are great.
Do you fellas like Schenk, Poston, or Putnam? I actually like Putnam the best of those.
Poston of those three.
Okay.
Pretty clear for me.
Olesen or Griot? I like
Grillo.
Thorbjorn.
You like the Thunder Bear?
Yeah, he's very good.
He popped for me at the start of the week more, but Grillo, just the more you look at it and the off the tee stuff, and man, it's definitely a possibility. I don't expect him to win or anything like that, but creep up the board at that price, I definitely think it's possible.
Came in late. Timestamp for the weather 11:20. If you are looking for that.
It's a good question, by the way.
What?
If you come in like that instead of just re-asking or doing that, like asking for the timestamp,
Yeah, I mean,
I'd be more inclined to answer that because he knows you have them.
Yeah.
I just thought that was a sharp question more than just asking again.
Sam Campagna asking the sharp questions. I do add the timestamps once we're done the show.
Right,
It's just during the live show I can't add them.
And he can't see them because none of that's going to really pop up, right? So when he comes back and you edit those in after and we're good, he can just go right to it. I like that one.
Is Answer a viable ownership pivot for Corey Connors? Because I've always said they kind of have the same games, except Answer's actually a better putter, although the rest of his game seems off. Paul, would you like to chime in on this?
I don't even really necessarily like him. I just thought I found like a 417 to 1 with the top 8 each way that I was just like, this guy won a WGC like a year ago.
A 417 to 1?
417 to 1.
Nice odds. It's just the weirdest stuff. Why didn't they just make it 420 and get all the clicks?
Do you understand this?
What?
It says, Pat love Minnesota Vikings. He sorry I'm Whittle Purple Witches. I'm just going to ban this guy for life because I think that either he's an absolute fucking moron or he's just like not mentally there enough to watch this show. So you're banned for life, asshole.
People like the entertainment value of that.
And I like banning people.
Getting you to say it, but they like the banning more. That is true. Real quick, back to that one, though. We didn't talk about this guy either. With these two guys, Jason Day, Taylor Gooch.
Yeah, Cust is on Gooch. I'm out on Gooch. Day I liked at the beginning of the week. I talked myself out of him.
I'm talking myself into him.
Okay.
Only because he's 7,800.
Any interest in Sepp? Nah.
I don't have what I know why people have the love. It makes sense. It's not as much for me.
Thoughts on Marcel Siem? No, thank you.
No.
If you had to pick 2 of these 4 to use in a large tournament DFS, Harmon, Henley, Siwoo, and McCarthy. Siwoo and Denny for me.
Henley and Siwoo were the guys for me.
Thoughts on Hodges? That's Baroff's guy, right?
Yeah, I got to roll with him. Baroff gives some good tips, man. Love his stuff. So he said Hodges. Again, it's boom bust to the maximum. What he's more so saying is if you get a guy like him through and make this cut, and he played pretty well last week, actually, and some of the other stuff in the past, where if he gets through, he could be the guy that could still outscore his finishing position. So you get the 31st place out of him, but you end up getting a top 20 score or something like that. That'd be just fine at 6,400.
Let's see. What else do we have?
He also said Hoagie, but I'm not sure if he was serious.
Hollywood Hoagie? The Craps man?
I think he was making fun of because people were bringing up players and, Sawgrass and Honda Classic comps, because I know why they're bringing them up too, but like you said, also the fact of a little bit different, but avoiding that. And I think he said flusher's flush, which is true. And that's kind of one of those things just going to line up either way.
Who are you afraid of fading because of ownership? I'm not fading. The only one I'm fading in my 150 build, I faded McIntyre just because I felt like it was pretty easy to fade him. But other than that, I don't think anyone is going to be so owned that you have to fade them.
Yeah, it's not enough there. I guess for me, it'd probably be Brooks if I'm going up there. It's like I have a feeling about like the Xander Hovland guys below him. I like Rahm still this week. I like Scheffler. So Rory and Brooks would be the 2.
Matt Jordan, Griot, or Poston? I think you're going to say Poston. I'm going to say Matt Jordan. I don't love any of them.
I think it's Grillo, then Poston, and then definitely not in on Matt Jordan.
Who was Cuss? This guy says he's writing in all caps. Chris Jones seems like he might be having an aneurysm when he's writing this. Who was Cuss' second pick? Easy way to find out who Cuss' second pick was if you watch the fucking show with Cuss on it, you asshole. Go fucking click on it, you piece of shit. Fuck you. Don't do it. Banned for life.
Is he winning the $2,000? I was going to ask.
Banned from winning the $2,000 as well. Fuck you.
All right. I think people just put it in caps because then they get noticed, they think.
Well, they got noticed in the wrong way. You don't always want to be noticed.
It got noticed, all right, yeah.
Rasmus or Nikolai? Have a preference? Sure. I'll take the guy who's actually in the tournament. Nikolai.
Rasmus is in it.
He's feeding both. Is Rasmus in it?
Yeah, he's 6,900, but I would take Nikolai for just other reasons.
I'm not playing either of them. I'm with this guy. I'm feeding both.
You're playing the guy you know is in the tournament.
Yeah, I'm playing the guy I know. I'm playing the guy who's better. How about that? Yeah. Nikolai's better than Rasmus.
Rasmus just won.
No, I thought Nikolai just won.
No, Rasmus just won 2 weeks ago.
Oh, on Euro.
Yes.
Yeah, Nikolai's a better player.
All right. I'm with you. I'm on Nikolai, and I think he suits it better, but just bringing it up.
Hodge. Yeah, a third. I mean, Rasmus is all over the place. Nikolai, I've always been, not that I can really tell them apart, but you see their names at the top, so that really helps out.
Yeah, I think his game is better. Rasmus just happened to win.
Okay. Rose missed the cut on the PGA Tour. Last 2 times he's played, Scottish and U.S. Open. I used him in both, so I am passing. That's really good logic. That's how you should play DFS, I think.
Well, it's one of those things, right? You got to go back to it. That's why I said the Adam Scott piece earlier. Even if people are going there, I think more are going to Rose. Scott really just missed last week, or he was in. He missed on the number.
When was the last time he was good?
Who?
Adam Scott. Like, when was the last time you remember
really
him?
Good.
What's that?
Go look. Last 5 results.
But when you say really good, what's really good?
Go look at the last 5 results.
Miscut 19th, miscut 9th, 29th, 8th, 5th, 31st.
There's a lot of good results in there.
Some good results in there. Well, some miscuts in there as well. He's just not playing a lot, I suppose. He's been better. You're right. He's been better the past 2 months than he was the start of the season.
Like Wyndham Clark won Wells Fargo. Adam Scott came 5th.
Well, one of them won.
Yeah.
Then the guy won a major.
8th, 9th at the Memorial. It's pretty good. 19th at the Travelers is fine. Like, this guy's $7,900. He doesn't have to win. I'm not betting him.
Okay. I don't like him.
I know.
Big pass. Are Tambo's tidbits out already? Yes.
Can we just rewind the part where you go look?
But
yes, Timbo's.
Why don't you fucking search it at Toe Tag and Tambo, you moron?
The Google thing's got to come back out today.
Craig Simmons asks, how do you feel about the Big Easy as top senior? I mean, if people aren't playing Harrington, I don't know what they're doing.
Yeah.
I don't even know what is on. I'm not betting that market, but
I might still have it up.
Keegan, Patrick Reed, or both Patrick Reed?
Yeah, I'd have it Reed then Keegan.
Woodland, yes or no?
Man, that's one I was more interested in coming into the week because his price dropped. Still debating on him. One thing that was brought up is he won't score enough. right? Like if it does get to 15, 16 under, is he going to be the guy that gets it there versus more the guy that just grinds it out? And at 7,100, all you need is the made cut, people will say, but you need the made cut and then something thereafter. Man, I don't know. It's tough.
The Justin Rose guy said, I'd rather play Scott this week myself. That's not a question, which you know what that means. Banned for life. I don't care about your fucking opinions, pal. Fuck off. Any reason to think that Brennan Grace is a DFS play? We've already been over this.
Can you look him up at least and give him just a little bit?
He had two top... He finished back-to-back runner-up on Live like 3 months ago. And then he didn't play for 6 weeks. And then he
36th here back in 2014.
Okay.
10th in Tucson in March.
He was second somewhere.
We don't have much to say about Brendan Grace, I guess.
I just think he's overpriced. Yeah, he was back-to-back runner-up finishes on the Live Tour 2 months ago. And in his only other 2 starts, he hasn't cracked the top 20 on Live. Like, yeah, he has the open record for lowest round. We know that he had historically been a very good links player, but I have no conception of where his game is at, and I'd rather take the chance on guys that I think are basically equivalent that are $1,000 cheaper.
Yeah, and you could just go up too. He's like $200 more. You get to Benny Ann, you get to Chris Kirk. There's other Rasmus. Just talked about or Louis, but if you want to go up to Nikolai, is only 71. Like you don't have to spend much more. You can find $300 on the slate.
What are the odds Justin Thomas ends the weekend top 5 in strokes gained approach? The odds? I don't know.
And betting on stats now.
What the fuck are we talking about here? All right, we're wrapping this up. Enough of this. We're into like the shitty part of the questions.
The truth comes out. We don't want the questions.
Oh, Brent Harris did point this out. This is a good one. On DraftKings, play at DraftKings. Exactly. See, Brent knows. Brent the Tent. There's his name.
I like that.
Players under par is over under 41.5 at minus 130.
Yeah. So you're 27.5 at minus 220.
Yeah, I'd play at the other place and bet the minus 225 and of 27.
Yeah, it's a good number.
Yeah.
Really good number.
I mean, 41, I would still go over 41. If we think that the winning score is going to be minus 14, there's going to be more than fucking 41 players under par.
Yeah, but that's like a clear spot where you just got it in really good if that's the other line.
Yeah.
It's way better.
The other line is still there, too.
And what is it, 16 less players you need? Yeah. Huge.
What's going on at Ship It Nation today?
Lots. Actually, we're going to have another show today, breaking it down. And we're going to spend a little more time on stuff a little bit different. Won't be building lineups, doing all that. We'll go through the tiers like always, but we did just launch our PGA projections. So I'll have those for future shows that we do on here. So we'll have the projections, got the ownership that I'm setting up now and getting it in there that way. So Hoop myself today, 1:30 p.m. Eastern on the Ship It Nation YouTube channel, youtube.com/@ShipItNation. Follow me on Twitter, @ToeTagAndTambo. The tidbits are up over there. And then lastly, when your Listener League fills, please go to the Fantasy Golf Degenerates Listener League. It needs to get to 2,500. We got our largest Listener League ever. And we were, I think, 1,400 or 1,500 as of last night. So a little bit of a ways to go.
I'll throw the link into the newsletter as well. The newsletter will come out later this evening. People have been asking me, how do they send me? This guy just asked, Phil Smart. I mean, Phil could be smarter is probably the answer to this. But still, how would I message Pat my 5-star review on Spotify, which will get you 15 ballots into that draw for $2,000. If you just reply to the newsletter, when you if you're a sub, you get an email to, just reply to it, boom, it goes straight to the Mayo Media account. You can
tag on Twitter,
screenshot it to me on Twitter. People have been tagging me on Instagram and their stories.
What about Threads?
I don't think I've opened that app
since day one.
Since I signed up for it. But yeah, myriad ways to do it. The PatMayoExperience@gmail.com is another way you can always contact the show. There are many different ways that you can do this. Any one of them will work. I'm not looking at them. I got a guy to... Man, there's been so many people entering retweets, the tweets, all of that, the new reviews, the existing reviews. One of the MMN employees has a spreadsheet with all of this stuff to make it very easy.
Easy for the ballots, too.
Because if it was just like me pulling names out of it, I'd be like, Tambo wins. Oh, perfect.
I need it.
Yeah, I don't think that you do.
All right, we're good?
Yeah, I think we're good. So getting that, sub to the newsletter. I have all my final thoughts in there with the updated weather, all the links. It's basically a giant cheat sheet with new information that comes out towards the end of everything. But that will do it for me. Thank you all for watching. Smash the like on the way out, and I'll see you next time.